100% no. I'll tell you afterwards.
Oh, great. Well, there that goes. So,
Yeah.
welcome everybody to It's Not All Black and White with If Clark Kent Was Black, Ken Clark, and myself, the real Steve Holt 12. Those are our Instagram handles if those people watching or listening don't know. So get with the times. So without talking about what we were talking about, is everything kind of like wrapped up now?
No, but I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna
Go
have
through
to
some
do a
stuff.
whole bunch of things. Yeah, as a lawyer and all that shit. It's gonna be great. I can tell you
So
for a fact, I have not slept more than 4 hours in the past since Sunday. Well, no, Monday when I dropped them off. hmm
but you sold your place in Kansas.
Yeah, I just sold it.
Isn't that where they?
They're in Denver.
Oh, I thought they resided there.
She got a job at in Denver teaching. She
Hmm.
got a PhD. Yeah.
Hmm.
hmm
Could that be
hmm
the rudimentary cause of all this? Is that PhD?
Probably. When you get so much education, you go a little fucking crazy.
That's why
100%.
I'm choosing to be slightly uneducated.
No, I mean I'm pretty educated. I'm not batshit crazy.
No, but that's also because you do drugs recreationally.
Yeah, I'm very in touch with myself and the things that make me happy, and I just don't let anything. For the most part, I don't deviate from the shit that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I try to. How do I put this? Dude, have you read David Goggins' new book, or have you heard it, listened to it?
I've
Have you
heard of it, but I have not read it.
have you heard of Viktor Frankl?
No, but it sounds like he's an important guy.
It's a book. Well, he is.
Oh,
He
never
invented
mind.
logotherapy. It's a guy who was in the concentration camps in World War II, and essentially he's explaining. So I had to read that book before. It was mandatory reading before Ranger School, and
Interesting.
oh yeah, but it's dude, it's fucking worth it. This guy survives a concentration camp for 4 years, 4.5, 5 years, I think, something like that. I think that's how long it was. I might be mistaken.
Un
Go ahead.
momento.
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep going.
He's upset. Pick him up. It's fine. Pick him up.
All right. So
Yeah, Viktor
my son is
Frankl. Oh, go ahead. No. Your son.
no,
What are you doing? What is
my
Tracy
son
doing?
is he's just starting to be a pain in the ass.
He's beginning to be a dick.
No, he doesn't want to watch. Apparently, whatever's on YouTube is not good enough anymore. So
Oh, it's fine. He gets more occupiable the older he gets, trust me. My 3-year-old, she'll be like, oh, I want to watch Mickey Mouse and drink from my water cup. Okay, baby. And then 2 minutes later, she's like, a balloon. And she just starts doing shit with a balloon.
he was also in his what are these like little bouncy things that like it's almost like a swing, like it cradles them by like the crotch and everything, and then they can just kind of jump up and down. And they got shit around them.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
just
you can
kind of
kind of jump in. He's building
so
leg
he's
muscles. Look at you.
so he's not big enough to fully fit in it. So we have like a towel stuff behind his back, so like he kind of presses upwards and like he's not just
Yeah,
like sinking into it.
yeah.
But he's like learning to keep his arms up. He's learning to, kind of like look around at the different toys on it. And I'm playing with it. And he did well last night. Absolutely like he would have thrown Jess and I through a fucking wall. He was so pissed. He's laughing right now as I'm saying this. And so I tried it again this morning, like probably 30 minutes ago, and he was just boop, ba-doop, 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 just playing in it, acting like a fucking actual child. But last night he wanted to kill Jess and I. If he was not on our shoulder, just kind of like looking backwards, like being upright, he was pissed. And I was like, dude, we had a great day yesterday. Everything was
Doesn't matter.
phenomenal. He's a terrific baby, but there's the side of him where it's like at night when Jess gets home,
Yeah.
it's full on fucking playtime.
Because he misses her.
Any sitting down other than being fed, fuck you guys. Not a chance. I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, you can cry
That's
yourself
it.
to sleep, buddy.
Even when he gets fed now at night, predominantly, he fucking like thrashes himself around, and he'll like
He's
it
happy
almost
with
looks
food.
it looks like he's fighting the bottle, but in reality, we know that he's not. He's hungry, but he's like literally like playing with his food. So he'll like use his hands and like try to push our hands away, and he'll swat at the bottle, and then
It's
he'll
called
grab the
discovery.
bottle. Yes,
And he also
but
has no fine motor skills. He cannot like if you put a Cheerio in front of him, the struggle, he would be like, "This is the Cheerio, right?" He's like, and then he
mm-hmm.
grabs it, and then he drags it and tries to put it in his mouth, and he's like hitting his nose and shit.
Yeah, everything is about putting it in the mouth at this stage, and it's hysterical to me because I will literally just be like, "No, keep it
And
out of your mouth."
he's like,
And he gets happy when I have an angry face. I carried him into the bedroom today, and I went to put him on the bed so I could change him, and so I could get dressed. And I stubbed my toe, like all three on the left side. Dude, it hurt so fucking bad. I literally stubbed them so hard I kind of fell like maybe like 6 inches. And I like put him down on the bed first, and then I like came down to my knees, and I'm like, he was dying laughing, could not keep it in. And I was like, oh, so good. He likes me in pain. So I just started making like really angry, sad, like in pain faces as much as I could. And he lost it. It was phenomenal. I was like, oh, so this is what parenting is.
you know what
Hurting
I don't.
yourself so that your child is entertained.
You know what I don't have next to my doorways? Fucking dressers or things that hit my toes on. I don't.
It
If I
wasn't
stub my toe, I get angry. Like I get so like
it wasn't in my
unconsolably
doorway.
angry.
Like literally when you walk in our doorway, there's a dresser and a changing table that I could stub my toe on, but I make it past both of those. But I forget that the way our frame for our bed is there's the end post all the way in the like very end, right? Headboard and footboard.
Jesus.
And then in the middle, there's also support steps or like support like little fucking pillars that come down. And that one just lined right up with like the pinky toe and the ring finger toe on my left foot. And it was just like crunch. And then, of course, like sometimes when you don't cut your toenails or your fingernails like super well and they get like stubbed, it like cracks into like the next one. And I was like,
And it gets
ah,
bruised.
Jesus. No, or it starts like bleeding and it actually cuts your toe, or it just makes them like super fucking hurtful. So that was my opinion. But he thought it was phenomenal. And then, so this podcast is going to be probably brought to you guys by all the fucking dumb stories of my life in like the last couple of days.
Dude,
we'll get on to some actual like fucking topics to talk about. But last night I woke up to go pee, came outside in the living room. The black lab is on the couch because that's where she likes to sleep now.
mm-hmm.
And she is on her back, paws all up in the air, and she's like
Loving
half
life.
cockeyed one way and the other way, completely just like as happy as could be. So I go to the bathroom, go back in my room, lay down, and when I came out, I saw her tail wag a little bit because she knew that I was in the room. And then I went over, I pet her, I gave her a couple kisses before I went to the bathroom, went back in my room, and next thing I know, she is like howling, like somebody's intruding.
What the fuck?
And I come out of the room because the other dog then snaps, and she's like, oh, someone's got to be here. So starts barking, bolts out the door. Trace somehow sleeps through this. I was worried he was going to definitely wake up for sure, and I was going to be pissed. So I leave the room. I come out, and the dog is still half on her back, half flipped over. So, like, her ass and fucking legs are, like, spread eagle still, but the top half is now kind of rotated to, like, being upright. And she's staring at the fucking door like there's somebody there. And I was like, you motherfucker, what are you doing? And she just kind of calms and is like, oh, I think I made a mistake. That was like, there's nobody there.
She's like,
Dad's yelling.
In hindsight, I may have fucked up.
There may not be that. I might false alarm, Dad.
Dude,
Sorry.
I was driving yesterday morning to go take my kids to school. I wake up in the morning. The first thing you do in the morning usually is you have those like the poop.
Piss excellence.
You just pee and you poop. You're like, okay, I'm good to go.
I just pee. I don't know
No,
about
dude,
you. I don't know why you got to poop.
bro, I drop some heat every
Whoa.
morning. Every morning I wake up at like 5:30. So I was getting up to take my kids to school. And I poop right. I'm like, okay, I'm good. But the night before, I had three of the spicy chicken fillets from Chick-fil-A and like my lemonade. And I was like,
Mm.
I'm gonna be good. I pooped that morning. I was like, that's a little warm. That's different. I got in the car. I started driving. You know where Highway 83, man. Highway 83.
Mm-hmm.
There's not jack shit back there.
Please tell me you had to poop
Um,
on the side of the road.
bro, I'm driving down there, and then all of a sudden I cut a fart, and I'm like, Jesus, that smells fucking terrible. What the fuck did I eat? And I went, oh, it's Chick Fil
Mm-hmm.
A. And I'm still driving, and all of a sudden everyone starts going slower, and I'm trying to pass them, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then it hits you, and it hit me, and I was like, oh fuck, dude, I gotta shit so bad. I gotta go so bad. So I hit it like
Yes.
85, right, going, and I legit thought that I was gonna shit on myself. Like I thought I was about to fill them bitches up. I get to the
But
first
yeah.
gas station. It's fucking closed because it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, Jesus Christ! That's like my exact
Reasonable
words.
expectations.
Yeah, exactly. My exact words were, "Oh my Jesus Christ, the fuck!" I was like, "I'm gonna shit my pants," and then I got in the car and I leaned sideways and I went, "Not fucking today, not today," and I sped down the interstate to get to another gas station on the highway. Made it to the gas station. They were like, "Hi, good morning," sir. I was like, and I just started running to the bathroom.
The worst
Just,
is, especially here in Texas, you'll get to bathrooms
dude,
and they'll have it locked and they'll be like, hey, you have to go get a key from the
bro,
people up front.
don't do like I'm not here to do meth. I'm here to put fucking terrible toxins in the fucking toilet. I get in
There was
there.
one
It
time I
was the
flew out of,
nicest bathroom I've ever been to in my life.
oh my God.
It was
There was
so
one
nice.
time I flew out of Austin
Yeah.
and my buddy, he was also flying out that same day. And so he dropped me off at the airport and then he went to his buddy's house because he had a couple hours before his flight.
Yeah.
It was like 4 a.m., but we get to a gas station in Austin at like 3. And there's nothing but homeless people, like 10, 20 homeless people just parked outside, just chilling. We go inside to use the bathroom, and there's somebody in there in front of me. So I'm just kind of shopping, waiting, grab a coffee, whatever. And then he or she, I don't even think I paid attention that
A
much,
fucking person.
comes out, and the stench
Oh god.
was not of shit. It was of person. And, you know, having been in the field and
Smells like
knowing what
shit. Yeah.
fucking 10-day period with no
10 days of
shower
no showers
whatsoever.
feels like
Like
whore baths. Basically what
not
baby
even a
wipes.
whore bath can do it. Right.
Yeah.
After like 7 days, your whore bath is just so that you don't feel the
The
stickiness.
stank. You don't feel the
No,
yeah.
the
You don't
stank
feel the stank.
becomes stickiness. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's a point where at one night you'll get into your sleeping bag, be down in your fucking underwear, and it's like your legs just stick together.
And you're like, this is
And then
fucking
you gotta
gross.
peel them apart the next morning.
And your balls, totally different story. Just
And then
fucking,
when you move your underwear and you can smell the grundle from underneath your fucking nuts, it's the worst. But that smell comes out of the bathroom. And I was like, holy
oh
fuck.
shit.
How
Got
am I
your
gonna
mouth,
do
didn't
this?
it? Think
How
about
am I
the
gonna do
little
this?
piece of that person's in your mouth. The little piece of that person's in your body now. They're inside of you.
So I asked my buddy, I was like, hey, can you come hold this door slightly open? And he's like, what? I was like,
Shit,
here's a
though.
paper towel, hold the door handle. I need it to be open enough so that there's air. I will hold it for you as well. Just hold this thing slightly. And so he did, and I thought it was absolutely hysterical that this person could create such a stench because I didn't think that it was possible.
Yeah.
But that was using public bathrooms after that. Other than like airport bathrooms, normally 75% clean.
Yeah.
There's still always that, like, you walk in, some dude definitely just pissed all over the fucking toilet seat. And you know for a fact that they did it. But
if
you're
you
like,
had to lick that toilet
if I,
seat for $1
yeah,
million, would you do it?
the whole thing or just a quick,
I mean, flat tongue on the seat, just.
yeah, but do I have to do it all the way around the circumference of the seat or do I just have to do it for like one quick,
4
like
inches.
ice,
4 inches of
like an
toilet seat.
ice cream cone lick?
Yeah, like 4 inches. Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. Dude, for $1 million, if that shit's tax free?
Yeah, tax free in your
Oh, fuck yeah.
pocket. It's getting sent
Fuck
to
yeah.
your bank account. In cash. They're gonna give you a
I
suitcase
would do
full of.
it's disgusting as fuck. But I would
What
probably
would
do
you
the
do? What would you,
underside of a
what
fucking
you would do
toilet
the
seat,
underside? That's fucking
bro.
gross.
I can put my kid through college. I can buy my dream house, right, with a VA loan, right.
And pay it
I
off
could
over time.
counteract the fucking high interest rates, and then at the same time, you know what? Get mama a brand new car
Yeah, that's
and be debt free.
but
So
also people would know about it.
now, see, the funny thing is that everybody now knows exactly what I would do with $1 million right off the bat. And most people would probably be like, "Oh, dude, that's real stupid." Blah blah blah. And be like, "Well, I could invest $1 million, but
Nah, dog. I'm
if
putting
you
500K
receive
towards the educations. That's it. I'm good. That's
if
first
you
thing.
receive money in a like frivolous or stupid manner, it should be spent in that same manner.
No,
Like
no, not a
if
frivolous or stupid. I mean, nothing you said was stupid.
but I licked the bottom of a toilet seat to get
I
a
mean,
million
but
dollars. So at
yeah,
that
but you're
point,
but you
I
paying
shouldn't.
for Trace's education and buying
Oh
just a
yeah,
new
that's true.
car is
But
not
but
crazy.
realistically, paying for Trace's education is probably as of right now maybe 150K.
Oh, bro, you were. Oh, that's so
200
sad.
250K.
Oh,
Like I mean, I'm thinking like a regular
yeah.
college.
I would say around 250 because you still have to get him a car
Fuck that. I can give him one of my cars 10 years from now.
if it's
That's not
still
going to be the
legal.
problem.
If it's still legal.
Okay, but like as long as education doesn't follow the same track record of administration costs going up like near 400% in the last decade.
Bro, yes, that's what's gonna happen.
Now, if that happens, then yes, it'll probably be like 250 for him to go to community college.
But that's what. But that's why. Like I remember when community college was $7,000 a year when I first graduated high school, and now that same community college is like triple the cost. It's insane. It's 300% increase, damn near, like three times the original amount. It's fucking stupid. Like it, education is, and the reason why it's expensive because the administration they're paying professors, tenure professors, tons of money,
But they
like
also are
tons of
now
money.
they're also now charging more for administrative costs.
Yeah, like random
It's
shit. Like, oh,
it's
we had to file your papers. We're gonna charge you
that's
$200.
15
Like,
that's $15. And it's like
bro,
how many times do you need to
that's two working hours per person,
well,
maybe.
no, it'll be like, hey, we had to file away your paperwork. It was 4 pieces of paper. Well, yes, but we have to make copies, then we have to scan it, then we have to do this, and this. I'm sorry, do you work an 8-hour shift for every student whose
Yeah,
work you do that for?
yeah,
Because I know for a fact when I worked at my first college at University of New Haven, I was in the School of Criminology department. I was working for the dean as like just an administrative aide. So there was
yeah.
like 5 of us students, and we sat in the break room, all 5 of us around our computers doing our homework. And then every couple of minutes or every hour, somebody would walk in and be like, "Hey, who can help me?" And basically, if you don't raise your hand, you're you're more or less gonna like get let go. And they'll just be like, "Hey, is anybody not working on something currently?" Yeah, all right, cool. All right, come with me. We're gonna unpack this all these boxes of papers that just got shipped in. And that's your job. And you get paid, I want to say it was like $12, $13 an hour. You're a student worker,
You lucky
super
fuck,
easy.
dude.
But again, you're working like 5, 6 hours at a time, 3, 4 hours a week, or 3, 4 days a week, and then at the end, basically your money that you just made goes to your tuition. That's all
Yeah,
it is.
they're getting
You're not
paid
keeping
back.
it.
Yeah, you're not keeping
Yeah,
anything. Like I worked in a call center asking alumni for money.
yeah.
I did that for
They give
4 hours every other day, and I made
they
like
give you a
$120
paycheck,
a week.
but they're just kind of like, hey, we recognize the paycheck we're going to give you.
It's gonna go right
No,
back
that
to us.
we kind of get that point.
Yeah,
Um, so at that point, it was where are we going with all this? What were we
work
talking about?
study. Yeah, no, what are we talking about? Are you the one that's high now, Steve? Are you high?
No, I also just looked at my I also just looked at my phone. The guy said that he's going to hop on. I think he
Nick.
mistaken. Yeah, I think he
Oh, for
mistook
what?
the time. He might be your time because he was like, "Aren't we on in a half hour?" So
No,
that
I
would make
send it
sense.
out. I always send it
Well,
out
yeah, of
correctly.
course.
I always,
You
well,
did send it
I
out
fucked up
correctly.
one time. Yeah,
You sent it out correctly, but that doesn't mean that everybody sees it and reads it correctly.
bro.
There've been
You know what? That's the thing. Like, fuck that. Because I was at work this week and I have been doing other people's jobs for them. And look, today is the last fucking day that happens.
we might just have to start putting like I mean, we put in all
Yeah.
caps CST. You might
Yeah.
have to actually spell it out. Like
You
large
think?
fucking letters. Like,
I
like
think we have Google. Wait, let me
like
wait. Wait a second.
all
Wait. Watch
caps,
this. Wait.
all caps with dashes in between each letter. Like an
Wait a second.
acronym.
Let me
Hang
do
on.
something real quick. Let's make sure that something's makes sense. For everybody that's watching, if you Google CST or MST, it will tell you it's Central Standard Time or Mountain Standard Time or Central Daylight Time, whatever you like. God damn it. There's Nick. There's Nick. There he is. Let me get him on. There you go, Nick.
Hey,
How you doing?
doing good. Let me make sure I don't got any boogers or anything. We good?
Nah, dude,
All
that
right.
adds flavor. It makes it look so much better.
Yeah, it's a real podcast now.
we were.
Yeah. Nice
You're
flag
fine.
back there. It's from the wrong company. It's not mine, so I'm gonna have to send you one, buddy.
Yeah, so there you go, Steve. He can't hear anything you say. He didn't have his headphones on.
Oh, here we go.
Say that again, Steve. Listen, look what he's gonna do for you.
Hey, Steve, nice flag you got back there. I think I might have to send you a different one though, unless you had a family member make it or something.
No, I bought that from Hobby Lobby and I cracked it last year.
That's funny.
So I think it's where is it? Right here.
Look at you.
Right, yeah.
Look at you. The
Crack
stripe
right
pattern. So the stripe pattern is not how I would do it. So it's like it's light on the bottom. It starts with like look at the bottom stripe. That would that should be the red one. So I would just kind of do the reverse of that light pattern.
Oh, so somebody got this flag wrong?
See, he's already criticizing. It's good.
I mean, like
fucking Hobby Lobby. What a bunch of cunts.
You know he's good at his job.
Well,
Like,
I would tell you this, Nick. I would humbly accept one of those and definitely portray it in my
I
house.
would put it right there on that fucking wall. Hey,
I would love that.
Yeah, get it there.
But we'll talk about that as we get going. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, my apologies. So I'm an idiot, and I heard Central Standard Time. I lived in Utah and Idaho for a while. That was Mountain Standard. Yeah, and for some reason, my brain is like, "Oh, they're just an hour ahead." You got time, Nick. You got time. And I got an email like, "We're live, dude." I'm like, "Oh, cool. I'm so professional. Look at me."
You're totally fine. You're totally fine. I can't tell you how many times he or I have had to, like, I have my kid now that I'm on daddy daycare for a while. Yeah. So there's plenty of times I'll probably in this podcast have to go over there and he'll be crying or something. So don't worry about it.
Because I got a 2-year-old right now, and I just screamed at my wife. I'm like, "Hey, I can't do anything right now. You're gonna have to handle it." You're like, "Hey."
You're like, "Here, take this football of a human."
Yeah.
So Jess, she's wanting to do more of the tummy time now because he's like 3 months, and she said that there's it's like a 90-ish% of like their early development is fostered through doing like the tummy time shit.
Yeah.
Builds fine motor skills. It makes them start pushing themselves up and doing like grabbing things easier.
Is this your first kid?
Mm-hmm.
I could tell because like you guys are like reading all the blogs and like all like the super techniques. I'm on my third. I literally just I'm like, he's in a petri dish. Just let him do his thing. He'll be fine.
Number 2, she dropped Chipotle.
She's talking on time and all that stuff. It's like
she dropped Chipotle on the floor. She dropped Chipotle on the floor last night, and she was like, "Daddy, can I eat this?" I was like, "Mm-hmm." She ate it. She's still alive.
That's why I'm glad I had a son first, because that having a son first, I feel like has been, at least for me as a dad, is a better experience than if it was a daughter, because then I would want to like, protect her and shit.
Yeah.
Or I would treat her like a boy. But like having a son has been way better because I'm just like,
Nick, do you have a boy or a girl? Or boys and girls? Do you have a mix?
One sec, I'll be right back.
I got 3 boys. I'm all home runs. 3.
You lucky bastard.
Yeah. I was terrified of having a girl because like once they turn into teenagers, that's a different story, man.
Bro, my 3-year-old is, I look at her now and she's like, "Oh, Daddy, pick me up." And I pick her up. I'm like, "This is so wonderful." Every time she says, "Pick me up," I take advantage of it because I'm like, there's a point where I'm not going to want to pick you up. You're not going to want me to touch you. And you're going to be basically, excuse my turn of language, you can be a bitch. So I'm going to love you while I can.
I I know. I know. Like I don't know when the shift happens. It's happening with my 9-year-old. It's like I'm trying to instill skiing into my kid because like skiing is like almost like an inherited kind of hobby because if you don't start with your when you're younger, it's so hard to pick up. And
Hmm.
I'm on the mountain and I see people just starting to ski. And I'm like, you're not having a good time.
Not at all.
Your feet are in insane pain. You feel completely out of control. You're terrified. You're just waiting to get down to the lodge and just do all the after stuff.
Yeah.
It's like only
Get
like
fucked up.
you need years in those boots to be able to actually enjoy it.
I
So
started
it's
when I was 6.
oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are Central Standard Time. Where are you guys located?
He's mountain. I'm
I'm
Texas.
down. Yeah.
Okay. Where are
I'm
you
in
guys?
Colorado. I'm in Colorado Springs.
Oh, okay.
And I'm in San Antonio.
And I'm in Lake Tahoe.
Dude, I need to
So
come
it
down
is.
there and go
That's not a
snowboarding.
bad place.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's super
Do,
expensive, but it's worth
How
it.
long have you been there?
I was born and raised here.
Oh shit.
Then I went to
do,
school all over.
do you have an Icon Pass?
I got the Epic Pass.
You got an Epic too? Yeah. So Lake Tahoe's on an Epic Pass?
Yeah, a lot of Lake Tahoe has some epic stuff. So Icon is Squaw Valley. Now it's called Palisades. They changed
Ah.
the name. They changed the name. And but the Epic Pass, it's got Heavenly, it's got North Star. I don't know if you've been to
Ooh.
those places, and Kirkwood in Tahoe. And
Yeah,
those
so
are
I'm
some of
gonna
my
have to
favorite
come see
spots.
you. I'm
Do
gonna
you
have to come
ski or
see you,
snowboard?
Nick. Snowboard.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I never,
Right.
I never liked skiing. I never liked the idea of it. The concept seems dumb.
Oh,
You know,
snowboarding or skiing?
Skiing.
how
Oh
dare
yeah.
you? How
I
dare
have
you?
terrible knees. It's hard on my knees. Skiing is really hard on my knees.
Yeah,
Skiing to me is like you're taking one body and then you go all the way down to your legs and you're trying to do like twice the work, right? Whereas like with snowboarding, you are one human on one board connected together. So if
right.
you fall, all of you falls all at the same time, all in the general same direction.
Yeah.
If you are skiing, the exact opposite may happen. Where if your one ski catches, cool,
You,
that ski
you
might go
fall into
straight into your
pieces.
fucking thigh. You might
Yeah,
tumble over and send one of those skis fucking flying like an arrow, and then hit some 5-year-old kid back of the head. Boom.
Now you're
Dead.
going to jail for murder.
Well,
Well,
here's
no. The judge would probably be like, "No, you're just a fucking idiot."
I was at Kirkwood the other day though, skiing, and I chose too light of skis, and it was kind of cruddy and hard packed. So
Yeah.
I was going out of a chute, and I was going like Mach 7, and my
Yeah.
skis just exploded off me. They're like rattling like crazy.
How
It's
tight were your bindings in your feet for your heels?
yeah,
Did you tighten them?
yeah. Like the DINs are pretty high because I've been skiing for a long time, but it was too much, and they just exploded off me. And thank goodness I didn't tear anything up. But I got up and I was just like, oh my
So you're
God.
saying,
But here's the
something
thing.
was too tight and it made you explode. And it didn't tear anything.
I can't believe it either.
That's the first.
But with snowboarding, when you fall, you're attached to that board, so you just get slapped so hard on your face. That's one thing I kind of like about skiing.
That's
or
why
the
we do
back of your
push-ups, Nick.
head. So it's like with skiing, at least you fall out of your skis and you just kind of roll around. I see people catch an edge on a snowboard, and it just looks so brutal.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you tuck everything together. You fall, you go, because if you do this,
Do that Black Panther shit.
I know. Yeah. I was just taking avalanche courses because I'm doing backcountry stuff this season. And one of the instructors was a
That's real man
splitboarder
shit.
guy. And he has a ripcord on his binding. So it's like if an avalanche starts and he's snowboarding on top of it, he has a ripcord. So if he has the forethought and the ability to, if he wants to bail out of his snowboard, he could easily rip out of it. Because sometimes in an avalanche, the board will kind of suck you down a little bit. Here's, the skis fall off, and I don't know, you're probably going to die regardless. Like,
I mean, you're strapped into a snowboard pretty tight.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like you guys knew about Ken Block, right?
Yeah, that was. Well, there was a. He was on a. What is the thing called?
I heard that he died, but I didn't know how.
He was in a snowmobile.
Snowmobile, yeah.
And he's in Park City, Utah, and he was strapped in to his snowmobile. And what happened is he most likely reared up and fell backwards, and his feet were still in the snowmobile, and he's just buried upside down, and it doesn't take long for you to suffocate.
Jesus Christ.
It's so scary, dude. I've seen people like jump off cliffs on skis and they land in too much powder and you don't have enough forward momentum and you just kind of get buried. You know, like if you jump off your deck,
Yeah, and
into the
you'll
snow.
die, you'll
Yeah.
suffocate.
And it's just immediately, it's just like the
Yeah,
panicked breathing kind of noise. I get
yeah.
anxiety just thinking about it. It's
I
crazy.
bet. I bet,
I
Ken, if you were buried under a snowmobile, you could probably
Oh
leg
my
press
gosh.
or leg curl that thing off you with some
I mean, a snowmobile is
near.
about 700 pounds. That's a hell of a
Yeah,
leg press, bro.
but you with adrenaline and near
Oh
death
yeah, I think
adrenaline, I'm
so.
pretty sure you
I
could.
know.
I'd give it a good, foot up in the air, and then hopefully somebody's coming. And my spine at that point, your spine's probably cracked in half. You probably
I
can't even
know.
feel your feet.
Yeah, but which one
Hopefully
more cracked?
hopefully his spine broke, and he was paralyzed when it happened, so he couldn't feel much. Like hopefully,
What?
Uh,
That's worse. Then you can't move and you're
oh,
suffocating.
no, no, no. At least he didn't feel like his body from the
It just
waist
needed to
down get
snap his neck. That's it.
I've
that.
heard
Then it's lights
stories of
out.
people breaking their back skiing and snowboarding, and it's just so fast that it's
You're
gone.
fucked.
It's
Yeah.
so sad that you could imagine it. You just like you try to move something and it doesn't move, and it's crazy. Like I was cooking one time in college, and a knife was hanging off of the counter, just a little bit, the handle piece. And I walked across the counter and I bumped it with my hip. So the knife spun on the countertop and the blade part, which is heavier, hung off the counter and fell down. And knives typically, if they fall a certain amount of like distance, they'll go blade down into the floor. So
Yeah.
it hit my foot.
Oh,
It hit my foot and it didn't hit my foot. Like say this is my foot. It didn't hit this way. It hit that way. So it immediately,
Mm.
oh, let's get the kid.
keep going. He's got a kid. It's fine. It's fine. Keep
It
going.
completely cut the tendon to my big toe, and you immediately know
Oh yeah.
I can't use my toe anymore. It's like your brain is sending the signal, and you realize we're just meat puppets with strings,
Oh,
and it's just the
100%.
string was gone, and
I was
it's the worst feeling.
I was playing basketball. I was in college, I think. I can't remember exactly. It's been so long ago. I tore everything in my knees and broke both my ankles at the same time.
Oh my
Like,
gosh!
went up for a dunk, dunked the ball on a fast break. Kid tried to come and block it. He hit the backboard with his elbow. He missed me. I made the basket, though. So that
Yeah.
happened. He fell before me. Somehow, he fell because saw him and I grabbed the rim. I was like, oh, fuck no. And then he fell, hit the ground, and I couldn't control my momentum going down. And
Oh,
somehow I swung this way, then swung back, and then went straight down, like standing. I landed on his arm and his stomach, and then everything like my knees went, and I
oh,
heard like 8 or 9 pops. I was like, oh fuck, that's weird. And then I was like, I can't feel my like calves. I was like, my calves don't work. And I tried to stand up, and they just went
oh,
noodle. And then like 30 seconds after that, pain, like instant pain, and I was basically like, oh, it was like I was dragging myself, calling for my mom. I was like, oh my God, mom, like, fuck, like, I can't feel my legs. Dude, that was the worst thing ever. And that's when I realized that, like, 16, 17 years old, that I am human and I can die. Like,
I
yeah,
know.
that's when you realize it. And,
The last time I broke a bone was like playing video games on a swivel chair, and I broke my collarbone. But I've like
how?
had other weird injuries like that. But you know what's funny? I always thought if I was a good baller and I could dunk, I would do exactly what you do. Like every time I dunk, I would hang for a long time and make sure my dismount is straight up and down. And you
Yeah,
still did that in the story. I was waiting for the part where you were swinging, like on, like
yeah.
a Tarzan, and you let go at the wrong angle and you just fell funny.
He
No, you
had
just landed
like
on a guy.
he had a concussion so bad he couldn't remember anything from that day backwards. He still has memory issues. Like, I know the guy. He went to Covington High School in Tennessee, and his head hit the ground so hard you thought the floor cracked, but it was his skull. He fractured his skull, and he couldn't remember his name. He couldn't remember anything else that happened before that game. He couldn't remember who his mother was. Like, he couldn't. When he saw people, he was like, "Who are you guys? Get away from me!" Like, I don't know who any of you people are. And we were like, "Jesus, he's." I consider myself lucky because he got kind of fucked on that end of the deal,
Uh,
But The reason why I think that happened is because, dude, you have a lot of adrenaline. You're like, oh, this is happening so fast, but I know I need to hang on to this basketball rim so I don't come down and
Yeah.
basically do what I did. And I was like, oh, okay, dunk the ball, swing, swing, I'm coming down. And all I heard was a big crack. And then I heard my feet hit his arm. And I was like, oh, my ankle's rolling. And then the other foot hit without me realizing. I was like, oh no, my other ankle's rolling. They went first. Those are the first three pops. And then my knees, ACL, MCL, LCL went. And I was like,
No.
and I fell between my legs. Like I fell, like imagine if you were squatting but
Yeah.
squatting on broken ankles, like your ankles had rolled. You're
How much
squatting on
how
that.
much did you weigh?
That was 185, 190 pounds at the point in
It's like
time.
just an epic collapse from not insanely high. Where did you land on his body? Did you like land on his back and just slip in between his armpits and
So I
stuff?
landed on a forearm. So I landed on the forearm and the stomach,
Oh, okay.
and it just rolled and went. And I was like, "Uh-oh, this is not good."
Oh
I'm
my gosh.
From the second that my ankle rolled, I was like, I'm in fucking danger. And ever since then, I've worn ankle braces and knee
Yeah.
sleeves and stuff. And I don't know. I'm really careful about what I do because I've been snowboarding in Breckenridge before, and like you said, people get buried under snow. My friends are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, let's hike up to the top and then go down." I'm like, "Cool, I've been doing this for 20 something years. I'll be all right." I get to the top, I go down, and I had never seen snow that deep, and it was so
Yeah.
deep. And I was going down. I jumped over a rock, came down,
Yeah.
went down 4 feet. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I was like, okay, lift my snowboard up, up, up. And I dug myself out with momentum. And I was like, oh, that could
Yeah.
have been real bad.
Snowboarders like snowboarding on powder, I feel like you have a lot easier time than skiers because people
Yeah.
think they want to ski powder, deep powder, until you're in it and you realize how hard it is to do it. It is
Yeah.
so much easier on packed snow. It's
Yep.
such a different style of skiing. I don't know for snowboarding how different you are boarding in powder versus on a groomer. Is it a
With powder,
different style of turning? Because you're not like edging as much. You're just on your platform, just
yeah.
like a dolphin, you know?
So, like, for me, because I'm 230 pounds, if I have a lot of light, fluffy powder underneath me, it's a bad thing because I'm just crushing it down more and more.
Yeah,
Every time I try to get on the edge and turn, I'm just digging and digging and digging, and I have to lean more. By the time I lean enough to get there, I'm on just an edge, and I'm like trying to
yeah,
turn somewhere like this, and it's terrible. I have a carbon fiber, I have a Capita carbon fiber X board, and it's a
yeah.
rocker underfoot, and that thing is tough. That's the only board I could get. I can't get any other board besides a Capita with carbon fiber in it because I'm so big. I've snapped boards.
Really?
Yeah, I've snapped three.
That's funny. I had a friend who skiing's different because it's like I don't see many people doing carbon fiber for skis.
hmm
But boarding, it seems like they do it. I saw somebody with ski poles made out of carbon fiber, and he was talking. He's like, he loved them so much, and he accidentally whacked a tree, and it just
It
shattered.
just
So I don't know.
shatters. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if
I
it was cheap carbon fiber or is this part of the material.
I would not use carbon fiber ski poles
Yeah,
because if it shatters and you're going down, I
yeah,
don't think people have seen carbon fiber in a human body. It's hard to get out. Sometimes they just leave it in there because they can't get it all
yeah,
out because it shatters in a lot of little pieces.
yeah.
Jesus. But Nick,
Steve has it. Oh, he's still muted.
oh, he's still, oh, shoot, he is muted. Let me unmute him. There's,
Yeah,
yeah, fuck you too, Steve.
What a
Neur-
dick. My kid had a pee-pee diaper, and you're just like, oh, fuck these guys.
no, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to get this back because you don't have to edit in the background. I do. I have to take that mess out. You know how hard that is? You know how hard the last one
no.
was?
No, because guess what? I'm not the smart one here. You're the educated one.
I'm not, that's,
How educated are you, Ken? What level of education you got here?
Enough so that he has to self-medicate sometimes with
yeah, I
recreational
do have
drugs.
to take mushrooms and things. I validated 17 projects yesterday and did a whole bunch of, I'm an engineer. So I have a mechanical engineering degree. I have a political science degree. I have a counterintelligence degree, and I have a master's in security studies and statistics.
Big dick energy over here from Ken every fucking episode.
I know way too many things. I know how too many things work, and I go, oh.
It's funny because I mean I did neuroscience and biology and chemistry and all that stuff. And I remember in school I had the impression like, oh, people in biology are smart. And then I took chemistry classes. I'm like, oh, these are the actually smart guys in college. And then I talked to them, and they're like, no, it's the engineers.
Yeah.
And like the engineers are the top dogs in school. And then I talked to some engineers.
Dumb
and
as
like,
dirt.
oh, the kids that are in math at a college level, those are the top.
Yeah, it's the dudes that have. I know a couple of females with math degrees, and
Yeah, math.
they make their own math. Like
Yeah,
the
it's a
fuck,
whole
like
different ballgame.
Is that how?
Like
Is that how?
biology is just memorization. Chemistry, you need some sort of thinking to
yeah, critical
derive the
thinking.
equations and stuff like that. But like when you get on just like the base of all science was just math dictates everything. Like, oh, these guys are the top dogs. Like all the biggest minds in the world, they just tend to be mathematician guys, and they understand every discipline that comes from it.
Yeah,
There's a funny comic I saw. It's like these college degrees competing with each other, and it's like a biologist says a biologist like, I'm the smartest guy here. And then a chemist goes up to him. He's like, well, all biology is based on chemistry. And then a physicist is like, well, chemistry is just physics. And then a mathematician's basically at the bottom. He's like, nobody's asking me. Nobody cares because like we're the biggest dorks of all time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like number theory. I remember that class very, very vividly. Like number theory is like, why does this thing work this way? Why is 1 + 1 2? And sometimes it's not. And that goes into quantum mechanics because sometimes 1 + 1.
We Terrence Howard now.
This is how math became racist.
Dude, it.
You guys know
Because of fucking
Howard,
dudes like you guys.
Iron Man, that actor, Hustle and Flow.
Iron Man? Yeah.
Yeah, he went crazy, didn't he? And he started talking about 1 + 1 isn't 2. He developed his own math and algebra and stuff. It all kind of starts with this thing of 1 + 1 not equaling 2. It's kind of like flat earthers for math guys. Like that you start with this 1 + 1 not equaling 2, and then you go down this rabbit hole, and I think it caught him. He turned into a crazy guy.
Yeah, it's weird because this is why.
It's unfortunate
he's actually onto something, but he doesn't fucking know that he's onto something. Let's put it that way.
Okay, Ken. Well, here's the thing. I can't challenge you. You did engineering. So
let me tell you something. Here's something that's really cool. So, what is the value of 1?
1, I would guess.
It's what the white man says it is.
How do you how do you know that 1 is the value of one thing?
Because it's not 0.
Okay, exactly. So it's not 0. It's not nothing. So what gives that intrinsic value to 1? You don't know. So what is 1? What is the smallest part of an atom? It's a quark.
Yeah.
What's the value of that quark? And you're trying to basically express the value.
Wait, is it a Planck or a quark? Or is it
a Planck?
How you measure a quark?
It's how you measure a quark.
So you're telling me the basis of all this is that we can't prove that this man is not crazy.
Yeah, he's not crazy, but that's the thing.
It's not. It's not 0. There's a non-0%
you look how he
chance
dresses, and you could say he's crazy. So maybe not his math theory, but you see him at a basketball game, and he's wearing like purple zoot suits. You see that Jamie Foxx on a podcast talking about seeing him all the time.
Well, I thought it was crazy when he did that show. Fucking what the fuck is that show that he was in? That massive one with Jesse Smollett.
Oh yeah,
Jesse Smollett.
Yeah. Well, so in that scene
was in that show Empire.
That's what it was. Yeah. But he fucking in one of the seasons he literally forgets how he has some like brain issue, and he forgets how to make music. So then he learns to paint, and painting with color equals music.
But it is.
So I get that started that, but then I did a little bit of research on that stuff, and then it went into teriology and how he equates like that kind of stuff as how math works.
But like, what is so if you paint a line,
his hair?
If you paint
this
a line,
dude could still have been Rhodes from fucking Iron Man if he didn't fucking do this shit.
100%.
Yeah,
could have been.
Cheadle took his role. Skinny Cheadle.
Don Cheadle sucks.
Cheadle does suck.
Have you ever seen that?
Ken, tell me what's going on with Terrence Howard's hair. Third picture.
Where? Right here? Right here?
Up, all the way up. Is that all the way up, Steve? Who's on the computer?
Right
no, all the way up.
That one right there. So does he have like relaxants and stuff, or what's going on?
Yeah, that's a relaxer. That's a fucking perm, bro. That's a perm.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
You watch some like black and white like doo-wop bands, or I don't know what you call them, but like they all had They had white people hair. They did the relaxants and parts and.
Dude, I had to go
I'm sorry, but
perm.
there's very few white people that have that hair right there.
100%.
This
That's
is
back in like the fucking 50s.
That's a halfway. That's a halfway point of white people hair and black people hair right there.
That's what I have.
Yeah,
You
I
know, it's
got
funny
Chinese
because
people.
when
I'm
a white
Italian, but I
person,
got Chinese guy hair.
Oh,
damn,
that's good. I have
Yeah.
very coarse nappy hair, is what I've been told.
Yeah.
And I think I've told Ken this story. So when I came in the army, the first black woman I met while in the army, like somebody who works for the government,
Yeah.
she was either filing my paperwork or doing something at clothing where you come in and they give you your uniforms and all that shit. And she's just plain and simple. She was just like, "Hey, boy, let me ask you a question. Where are you from?" I was like, "New England." She was like, oh, "Okay. Are you like, what's your ethnicity? What's your background?" And I was like, "I'm Italian." She's like, "Okay." So I move on. A couple months later, I'm in basic training, and the
no, there's
lady at
something else in that coffee, dog. Go ahead.
the lady behind the counter, she just kind of asked me the same question. Tell her. She's like, "All right, pass it on." I get here to San Antonio, and I'm going through the lunch line again. And the lady behind the counter, she's like, "Hey, I really got to ask you a question because I'm fucking stumped here. What ethnicity are you?" And I was like, "I'm white. I'm
Yeah.
white." I was like, I know my dad's side's like North German or English, Danish, some mixture and some mutt, but I'm also half Italian. And I was like, my great grandparents on my mother's side were straight from Sicily, came over and immigrated. And she was like, "Somebody in your family's lying to you." And I was like, that's not a
lying to
real
me.
thing. He was like,
You probably have that
who told you
person.
these things about your background? I was like, well, I did a 23andMe on my father's side, and I know exactly where I come from, what I know the family crest and all that shit for Holt in England. She's like, okay, well, what about your mama's side? I was like, I've never done that much stuff because I always had family that all lined up and they were all there, and there's a shit ton of them. So whatever they all say, like all 25 of them, I'm gonna believe because they're all saying the same thing. And she's like, boy, your mom is lying to you. You got some black in you. And I was like, there's no fucking way. She's like, look at your fucking head. And I was like, what is that supposed to mean? She's like, you have the nappiest hair I've ever seen on a white boy in my entire life.
I think this story just means she was attracted to you.
Yeah, she was like,
Well,
give me some
yeah,
of
but
that
there's
dick.
but there's three. There's three different African American women who have asked me
You
that in
got
my army career.
Okay, so you got Sicilian in you. There's a bunch of Italians who are like, we're kind of black because like they go back into the Moors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, but I mean, I did my 23andMe. I got the same makeup as you. My dad's full Italian, so I'm half, and my mom's English, Danish, and a bunch of other stuff. So we got like the same 23andMe.
It was really cool when I did
I'm
that
gonna pull up
23andMe.
my ancestry DNA.
They sent me a fucking big crest and then like a typed out like family history, and then they sent me a sword with it.
A
That's so
swab?
rad.
You got
Yeah, it was a
swab?
sword. It was a sword with the family crest in it. I've since lost all of
It's
that.
awesome
So
being white in America for 23andMe because it's a lot more interesting than other people's. Because it's like if you're Chinese, you're like, oh, there's not too much mystery here where I
just
am.
which dynasty do I hail from?
Okay, I got that. That's cool. But I
Which
heard a lot of
generation of the CCP did I start in?
right. Unless you got some mix in you, you kind of know where you're from.
That's very true.
Let's see here.
Let's see.
This is gonna say completely
His full
white.
name's Kenya.
Yeah.
Are you from Kenya?
Nope.
No.
Oh, are
Look
you
at
from
that.
Canada?
I
You're
know
from
my
Canada.
African, I know my African geography.
Indigenous North Americas. You're 1% indigenous.
Mhm.
Oh, you're like Elizabeth Warren and being
Hey, you got
Indian.
some cool stuff going on there.
I know,
Is
right?
that
Look at this right
Scandinavian
here.
stuff? Is that Scandinavia up there? The
Yeah.
green and red blob?
Oh, your
Well,
ancestors
green one?
were.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they were raped and pillaged.
Well, we don't know that for a fact.
That what makes you so interesting, Ken.
There were
That
a
is,
couple
yeah, a
of
little bit of everything.
there were a couple of wealthy black families back then. You don't
Yeah,
know.
Look
did you guys
look
see
at
the North
this.
one?
You're definitely from Belgium.
Which one?
100%. You.
Right here? I
Yeah,
was talking
you. I'm
about
saying
Nick.
Ken is
Oh, the
partially
North
from
one.
Belgium.
Yeah, the movie. Did you guys see that with the Viking stuff?
No.
No.
I was kind of disappointed. I like that guy's other movies. I don't know if you saw The Lighthouse or
Robert Pattinson?
yeah, The Lighthouse, Robert Pattinson. Yeah, that movie's so good.
He's a little sketch.
I
I
need to
liked him in
watch it,
Batman.
He's not sketch. He's
I like
just
him in Batman though.
no, I didn't
He was
like
also,
him.
he was
Well,
also a vampire, which means we can't trust him.
I still
it
haven't
was a
seen the
more
Batman.
realistic Batman.
I still haven't seen the Batman because I started and it's so dark and slow. I'm like, I'm just not in the mood for this. I need to wait for the right time to watch it.
I mean, yeah, but
Mostly Nigerian.
that's funny. Then
I
Congo.
served my mission. I'm LDS. I served my mission in New Jersey, and I
Mhm.
served Spanish speaking. But the English speaking missionaries, they always got to hang out with the Africans. And I loved going to hang out with the Africans and teaching lessons because I ate fufu, jollof rice, and something I learned about a lot of the people from Ghana and Nigeria is they love kung fu movies, but Nigerians also have their own version of Hollywood, and they make some banger funny movies.
I gotta look into this.
Oh
The
yeah,
only
dude, your
thing I think
Nigerian
of,
roots are cool. And I
I,
think Nigeria might be the most populous country in Africa. I think it's pretty dense.
it brought. Let me see
They
about
got a
this.
lot going
you
on.
Yeah,
might be from
168 million people.
Chad.
How many million?
168 million
168.
people.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's half the population of the U.S. Basically, the U.S. is like
Uh-huh.
356 million.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
God.
now can somebody explain to me how that country gets away with that name right above Nigeria?
Oh, Niger.
Yeah, but
It just depends on how you say it.
It depends on how you say it. You racist.
Careful.
I'm just saying, how do we have all of these human rights organizations and all this shit,
You're
but
gonna have to look at
that
that.
country gets to keep that?
What about Chad? That's a sick name.
Chad,
Well,
That whole
actually-
country is like to the past 10 years, like, whoa, we're Chad now.
Yeah,
Like,
but
it's
that
what's
country is
going
now
on in the movie.
it's no longer filled with African American like black people. It is now just a bunch of white dudes that like
Yeah.
to party and their tank
6
tops.
foot tall white guys is the country of Chad. Everyone just goes
Yes.
to the country named after their trope.
Yes.
It's fine.
So it's basically, have you seen Letterkenny?
Yeah.
It's the hockey players all now. They all live in Chad. That's how it
guys-
got its name now.
Speaking of
Oh,
Chad
okay.
and Africa, you guys gotta watch this series.
Rogue Heroes.
You gotta watch it. It is so fucking good.
It looks good.
It's about how the SAS was formed, and
So it's a
sweet.
British show?
No. It's American.
It's American? Okay.
American made, but it's published.
Of course,
through
the
it's
Americans
produced
probably
through
made the
BBC.
SAS. We probably made the SAS.
No, we got into the war real late. We were like, well, looks like Hitler's moving over to the Middle East and we can't afford to lose that
I'm
oil,
sorry.
so let's head over there, boys.
Give me a time in the world where our 3-letter agencies did not help establish shit that it shouldn't have.
I mean,
I
well,
don't
yeah,
know
but
what the SAS is.
I can name
You
5
guys are military,
dictators
I'm
that
not
we
military.
established.
so the story of the SAS, like five guys got together.
So hold on,
they
what are the 3 agencies? The CIA, the FBI, and the DMV? What's the last one?
You can go
DEA.
DA, you can go ATF, you
Yeah,
can go.
ATF, yeah. ATF is like the baby of them all because it
Where are you
came
guys at
later.
right now? Do you like any of these 3-letter agencies anymore?
Secret Service might not be a 3-letter agency, but I kind of hold them as they're a part of it because they do some like offhand shit too now.
There is
Where
zero
are you guys
oversight.
at with these 3-letter agencies right now?
There is a non-0% chance that they A, need to be abolished, and B, have been a part of some of our darkest history in the last 75 years.
There's some restructuring that needs to happen. Like, because I mean, I went to school for this shit. It's really, really bad. There's no information sharing. So if the CIA figures something out, like anywhere in the world, they're not obligated to share with anybody. But the FBI has to share with everyone. They have to share. But they do things called like stovepiping. They'll like classify documents to like the umpteenth degree. So it's so hard by the time that another agency can get a hold of it or a local government can get a hold of it, like a police station that's in the area where this thing is happening, this bad thing, it's too late. It's
Well, they can choose how and when to release it, but they know they have to. So if you can put it to the umpteenth like security level degree, by the time anybody achieves that security level or can declassify it, it's already a non-starter. I just personally, I think that every single one of those agencies is now out for their own good.
Yeah.
Clearly politicized. There's clearly no set standard where they do everything the same for everybody because it's just no matter how you want to call it, on whether somebody's complying or not, this, that, or another thing, it does, like, the work doesn't make sense anymore. You could find there's got to be a detective somewhere in the middle of Manhattan that has more integrity than the entire FBI, and they've been on the job.
Joe Rogan's dad. Have you
It's
guys heard of
basically
Joe
Will.
Rogan's dad? He's squeaky clean. I don't know if you guys are on any of this drama right now.
Oh
Who's
no, go
that?
ahead, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. So it's funny how you feel like Joe Rogan like was just born out of the sewers of New Jersey. Like he doesn't have a family, right? In your
Yeah.
brain,
Oh,
you
no,
never
no.
think of Joe Rogan having a sister or a father.
He came out
any-
of Boston.
He moved
Europe.
around. He was
I
in
know he's
Florida.
in Jersey a bit, but yeah, Boston. So okay. But his dad and his sister recently, like they started calling him out. They're like, because Joe Rogan has said, like early day JRE saying, my dad was a psychopath. He would beat me. He would beat my mom. He would beat me and stuff. And Joe Rogan's basically been out of the house since he was 6. And now his dad is like 88, slapping the table saying, have some balls, come have a talk with me. No cameras. Like you need to clear my reputation and all this stuff. Yeah. This is wild. And you could,
Okay, first of all,
you
pause.
watch the video and you immediately side with Joe Rogan. You're like, these people are absolutely insane, and I'm glad he got away.
His sister, looks
Works
like
at the DMV.
looks at as a worse version of AOC immediately.
That's his
in that
sister?
picture. Yes.
Isn't it odd seeing Joe Rogan like
Second
look
of all-
people, but they're not him?
Second of all,
Yeah.
that old man 100% looks like he beat a wife or two
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh
for
my
something
gosh.
less than a beer not being opened on time.
Dude, it's crazy.
Worse than that.
But if that is his sister, that is definitely not with the same mother.
I wonder if Joe's gonna bring this up. He's
probably-
he's so detached from them. I don't know if he wants to acknowledge this. But
No,
I'm
he probably
curious.
doesn't want to give them any clout for it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I wouldn't put it past him just kind of being like, hey, there's been some stuff in the news lately about my family. Don't
Yeah.
pay it any mind because these people are fucking nuts. So I may handle it personally, but it's definitely not going to come on here.
They are
'Cause-
so like stereotypical East Coast Italian. It's wild. It's wild.
Puerto
Like, I
Rican
don't
or
see
Hispanic.
Rogan
man,
as any ethnicity. I just see we've been with this guy for so long. He's just Joe Rogan. He's
Mhm.
not anything.
He's like not he has no roots. It's like Joe Rogan is a root. Like that's him. He's
Yeah. Well, you do hear California, like man, like he kind of he has a little tiny bit of vocal fry sometimes, but then you see his family and they're just like,
I've never seen a
Southern
picture of
East.
his family. Like his
Yeah,
actual like
watch a little.
wife or kids. No.
This is going to be the internet drama for a couple days, boys. You better strap in.
Well,
gonna
good.
be wild.
It's better than the horse dewormer shit that we all knew was fake. But that we literally watched CNN put an Instagram filter over his fucking video.
Yeah, make it look yellow and jaundice. That was fucking weird.
Oh my god! It's like how are you gonna take the most like if you scroll down a little bit, there's like a picture of him and his family.
Is that
Oh
his
my God.
wife?
Yeah, that's his wife.
I've never seen his
wife's
wife.
good looking.
Yeah.
Well, he deserves it, man.
I mean, I didn't. He has a stepdaughter who's black.
Wait,
He's
what?
been so good at protecting his family's kind of privacy. This is the first time, honestly, I've seen them.
Yeah, this
That's
is.
crazy.
He's got a stepdaughter. The fuck
guess-
is this even weird? Is it even real?
Sportskeeda. They're definitely a reliable news source.
Oh, he adopted her when he married his wife, Jessica. I don't know if this is true.
Oh, good for him, man.
That's cute.
Yeah. That's nice.
He was multicultural
walk.
before it was cool.
Yeah.
I feel like,
And I heard that he's been
healthy-
against. I've heard he was against rape before it was popular.
What the fuck?
I
mean,
get on
hey,
the level of
If
wealth
you're not
that Joe Rogan,
anti-rape,
you really want to.
like, who are you? Are you
What
guys
did I
both
say, Nick?
anti-rape?
It's just people who adopt. I just admire them so much. It's
Yeah,
just when you get on
that's
that level
hard.
of wealth, you just want to spread you just want to give back, and they start adopting kids. Like,
All right,
it's
so Ken
cool.
and I were just talking about some wealth a couple of minutes ago before you hopped on.
Oh.
So Joe Rogan has like $100 million contract with Spotify. He apparently has never touched that money,
That's
supposedly yet, because he still lives off his Fear Factor money. Because that's a syndicated show, he gets royalties from it all the time. Smart guy, just like a lot of NFL players. They don't live off their common salary; they live off of their sponsorship deals, which are often
Yeah.
just kind of like bonuses, so they get taxed less. So Ken asked me, and this has no relationship to Joe Rogan or
Jesus fucking Christ.
sponsorship money.
Yeah.
He asked me, would I look at toilet seat, a dirty public toilet seat for $1 million?
No,
It's
you didn't get
tax-free.
into all the details. The
Well, hang
details
on.
was there
Easy.
was
Pause.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Nick.
Wait
Yeah,
wait
absolutely.
for it. Let him
Now-
explain the background.
Now-
Okay, hold on.
Now, so I said, A, how long do I have to lick? Do I have to lick the entire toilet seat? Right? And he's like, no, it's just got to be a good, like flat tongue, 4 inches, like good clean sweep. And I was like, all right, good. Like an
Doesn't
ice cream
matter, I
cone.
still would. Yeah.
100% I would do it. Then I said, if you gave me $1 million tax free, I would lick the underside of the toilet seat, same length, 100%.
Yeah.
Because A, pay for all my kids' college, clean sweep, right? Buy mama a new car, use a VA loan, get a fucking huge fucking house.
Ken, did you come up with this hypothetical?
No, it started with a back. Let me tell you, it started as a
Okay, 'cause these
background story
honestly-
of Steve saying, because the other day I was taking my kids to school and I had to shit, and there was no bathroom on this Highway 83, for like 10, 12 miles, and I was like, today is the day that I shit myself for the 6th time as a grown man. I'm pretty
They had
fucked.
some height to me. Yeah. Just
So he went into this whole other story about how he saw 20, 30 homeless people at a gas station. And
Austin,
one of them, when Austin, one of them came out and he was like, Jesus Christ, that smells so bad. It wasn't shit, it was body odor. And me and him both know from being in the field for a long time in the Army, you don't wash your ass for 10 days, you got some shit going on down there, and it's not pretty.
Yeah.
And I was like, you would lick that toilet
grundle from underneath your nuts.
that grundly toilet seat with that person's dirty ass and skin on there. That a piece of that person's now going to be inside of you. So think about that.
Bro, I would just go get
DNA. You're inhaling DNA and skin flakes all the time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, but
even when you're wearing a mask
These
for COVID.
internet hypotheticals are written so bad just to get engagement. There's not a single person on earth who wouldn't do this.
Now, okay, so
Find me somebody who would say no.
the only way to
It's
change the
just to get
hypothetical
engagement.
is what is the lowest number that you would do that for?
Oh, Nick, what's your lowest number?
I'm thinking of how many flags I sell. How long they take.
What is my yearly
So just
income?
look at toilet seat. Is there visible fecal matter on it, or is just a toilet seat public?
There's visible fecal matter and people can see it.
I would probably just go with there's
$50,000.
visible dry.
No,
urine.
I would go lower.
What? Where would you go?
I would go lower.
50 was a
I would do it for
good starting.
$25,000. Under that,
I can pay off my student loans with that.
yeah. You can
Mm.
buy a nice used car.
What about the
I-
butthole?
No,
How much to
Please.
lick that person's butthole?
This is
we've taken a sharp turn.
Yeah,
Nope,
guy?
yeah,
this is a male.
Would you want it to
We're
be a
gonna do for
female?
men, and okay, you get to pick the gender.
I prefer. You would pick two. You would actively pick a guy. This is.
I think I would pick a
non-question.
dude, not because I'm gay, but because if you had a female who hadn't showered and cleaned that shit, those two things are really close together. We're in the same fucking pair of pants.
Yeah, you're
Ooh,
baking bread.
That's you're making it's a yeast.
At least
factory.
behind the sack is just sweat and grundle, but it's an ass is an
I think
ass.
it does
But
make you.
when it's a
I think
woman,
it
it's an
might
ass.
make
And,
you gay. Hold on, I think that might.
and the other part is, am I looking front to back or back to front?
You're looking front to back.
Okay, that's better because at least then you don't get the actual front. You can know where you're going and only go towards the back. But if you're going back to front, then you might go a little too far.
Debate. Like, do you wipe standing up, front to back to front? Like, I don't know.
If you wipe standing up,
I said
you're
on the
you're a
toilet seat like a
communist.
school teacher. I flip it backwards and face the other way, like I'm talking to the class brass tacks.
Jeez.
Have you ever seen the movie?
Face the bowl. I face the thing.
Have
you ever seen the? Have either one of you seen the movie That Awkward Moment?
Uh-oh.
It has Zac Efron, Miles Teller, and Michael B. Jordan in it. It's really funny. The beginning of the movie, they go out. Michael B. Jordan's like wife or whatever wants to break up with him or have a divorce.
Oh yeah, I've seen
So
that movie. I know
They take him out to the bar. They all meet chicks and they all go back to their apartments and whatnot. And they're all waking up, but they took Viagra beforehand. because Zac Efron was like, "Oh, you can take one of these and you can still drink like Keith Richards and still get hard." And so they're all up at like probably 2 a.m. rock hard, and Miles Teller's like, "Dude, how do I take a piss? Like this thing is like fucking an
It hurts.
aerospace rocket." And he's like, "Dude," he's like, "You got to get horizontal." He's like,
Yeah.
"Me or the dick?" He's like, "You."
You.
He's like, "You got to get perpendicular to the toilet." And he's like, "How the fuck?" And so you see them both in like a push-up position with their like with their feet up by like the back end of the like the handle of the fucking toilet.
Yeah.
Jesus
And they're
Christ.
just being downwards. And Miles Teller's like, "Dude, there's no way." "Oh shit, dude, this is working." And he's like, "Is your junk in the water too?"
God.
Dude,
Oh,
Top Gun
God.
Maverick sure changed my opinion on Miles Taylor. Like
You
before
had a
that
bad
movie, I
opinion
thought he
about him before
like
that?
before that movie, I thought he looked like a bear attack victim. Like his face was partially reconstructed. He had such an odd face.
You
And
didn't
then
like it? Did
Maverick
you ever,
comes out, and this guy is like the biggest glow up I've ever seen in my life.
have you seen him in War Dogs?
Does he look stupid there too?
No,
Oh, yeah, and War Dogs. Yeah,
no,
he
but
does.
he's with Anna de Armas, and
Yep.
she's like his wife. And apparently, she had just immigrated to the U.S. and barely knew English. They were working with her for like a month, 1 month.
Yeah.
She had to learn quick phrases and stuff like that for her lines.
I think I heard every line is just her repeating what the director's saying right after he says it.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're just like 3, 2, 1, roll.
Yeah. He was like,
And
Jesus
she got
Christ.
nominated for Best Actress for that new Marilyn Monroe movie.
I heard it was
It's
bad.
trash.
I skimmed through it.
Oh,
It's
dude.
trash.
It's
so
trash.
bad.
It's hot
All right.
garbage, man.
And her
While we're-
accent's bad, and she can't do an accent. And I'm sorry, but like
I don't care.
accent
She
is
looked
part of
hot.
acting.
I don't care if she's
She's
hot.
gorgeous. She's gorgeous. The movie's trash.
So let me tell you some other movie that's trash.
No, wait. Before the trash one, would you rather have sex in front of your parents or watch your parents have sex?
The former.
I think I'd rather suck start my new pistol.
Nick,
I think the former.
you'd watch your parents do it?
No, the former, not the latter.
Oh, you're the latter. Okay, my bad.
He's a little slow with that. So back
Jesus,
to
he just doesn't
back-
get up.
Just an engineer, defense contractor, everything.
You're a fucking savage, man.
Ben, do you have any PhDs or are you master's level?
Yeah, master's level. I'm not ever PhD. Can go fuck itself.
But did you have to do theses and thesis and defend them?
Yep, 6 times.
Just let me know what your theses were. I'm curious.
So, trans is international terrorism and how it's funded.
Therefore, that started funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was really thinking that he was going to say.
basically,
you
so
said it right there.
how
Is
do you
that-
think?
Sorry.
Is that how international terrorists go through their transgender transitions?
So
you defended.
The funny you say that, kid.
Yeah.
I think that is something that actually does happen in Iraq, right? Or in Iran, or
Yeah.
just in Islam.
So you
Yeah.
were defending in court of public appeal how
No.
transgender people can't be terrorists or vice versa.
How do you think terrorists make money? Take a guess. It's simpler than you think.
Puppies.
You have to suck a lot of dick to be that job.
Did you fuck? Jesus Christ, Steve.
I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I know poppy fields are somehow involved.
Okay, you're thinking complex. Think simpler.
Sucking 2
Killing
dicks.
children.
Close. Human trafficking.
Yeah.
Because you know what you can do with the body? You can hide things inside of a human body. And you know what happens at customs?
Bad Boys 2 showed us that.
Yeah, they don't check. They cannot open up or desecrate the remains of an individual that's being transported. You cannot open it up.
Well, tell that to Denzel Washington.
Not unless you have like basically call them super duper warrants. That's like warrants from the judicial branch, from the Department of Justice or the Supreme Court that says, hey, we're going to search these things. So you see those movies where people, forget what series that was or movie, they were opening up like these caskets of like dead soldiers or whatever. That's not really a thing unless you get
American Gangster.
Deceased?
Say that again.
Does it count as human trafficking if they're dead?
Yeah.
Yes, because you're using somebody's body without the family's consent. But the movie you're thinking
and also,
about
sometimes the people aren't dead.
I didn't know a large aspect of human trafficking was deceased people and just using them as vessels.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, dude, because they can't say no.
Selling them just into sex trade and stuff like that.
That's a piece of it, but also some of these. So mainly they use children under the age of 12, and they'll cut them open, put drugs inside of them, sew them back up, and then say they're sick and transport them across borders. They get them across. They don't care how the drugs get out. They get them out, and usually the kids die.
Yeah,
So
but
that's how
you gotta put makeup and shit on those kids so they don't look blue when you transport them.
they can look blue.
Do all terrorist groups have basically the same moral system? Is Al Qaeda different or better or worse than ISIS? Or
Like,
no, it's more or less based on country, I believe.
yeah, so
just
like
kind
in
of like
Syria,
the beliefs.
there's 141 different factions. The last time I checked from the core lists of war, there's 141 different terrorist groups
yeah,
in just Syria. In the world, there's like I think it's like 200 and something thousand different terrorist groups on the
Well,
watch list.
there's also 80% of schools, I believe, in Saudi Arabia and Syria. It's one of the two are madrasas. So like 80% of their school system teaches death to America and specific like Western terrorism.
Anti-American ideals. So yeah.
That's funny. I was watching Rambo 3, and at the very end credits, it says, "We dedicate this movie to the brave fighters of the Mujahideen." I was like, "This is so
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, because we supported them before.
Soviets, yeah.
That's how the Iran-Contra shit started. Jesus fucking Christ.
And that's where we got Osama from, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's also kind of like what we did with the Kurds, where we told them in so many different lights, like, hey, don't worry, we're going to be there for you guys. And then when people came and knocking on the door, we were like, bro, who the fuck are you?
Who are you?
Yeah.
What do you mean, aid? We don't do that here.
You know, you guys are pretty good on your history. The other podcaster that I learned that is actually insanely smart with U.S. history is Shane Gillis. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him.
Oh yeah, I know Shane. Yeah,
he is wildly intelligent on his podcast with Louis C.K. They go over every single. It's one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to. I've listened to it twice through.
Have you listened to Two Bears, One Cave?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, that fucking Kool-Aid.
Did you just listen to the one with Louis C.K. on that?
I think it's that way. Is it both Bert and
no? It's just Bert and Louis C.K.
It's
so fucking funny.
Is it good?
Dude,
I go back and forth on Bert, but Bert wins for me because you could tell he's how funny you think Bert. He does have insanely funny moments, but you could tell people just like him.
And he's definitely he's just the guy that you probably want to hang out around. Like I saw he was on Bustin' with the Boys, a couple of Barstool podcasts and shit, and he was just like the ideas he comes up with on his show with Tom is hysterical, and like their birthday present arrangement, like over like the last like 5-6 years, they have escalated their price tag for each other to like past $100,000 each. And Bert bought Tom a race car along with a full size like 3,500 Super Duty truck with a like 40-foot trailer to pull it, and got him all this extra shit. It's like a legit street race car.
The money these guys have is so surprising to me.
But Bert seems to be one of those guys where it's like he didn't have money for the longest time, and now that he has money, he's taking care of his family, and the rest of the money is literally just I want to have fucking fun money.
Yeah.
So he was on a bunch of those Barstool podcasts, and he told all the guys, he was like, hey, I was just talking with these guys and those guys. One day, I literally just thought this was a great idea. We should have my agent, this woman over here, she's going to book us all random flights to the same place. Just we're all going to get a text one day, and it's going to be like, hey, 24 hours from now, you need to be at this airport. Obviously, she'll choreograph if like I'm on tour and whatnot, like get us to the same airport, same place. All I want to do is all of us get on a plane, meet at the same airport at the same time, go out, go to clubs, go to get like a nice fucking dinner, cigars, go to like a gentleman's like pub, whatever the fuck. And then next morning we're out. And I just want to do that one time.
What the fuck?
And so it was like a week ago, he posted on his Instagram. He's like, it's fucking happening, boys. 24 hours from now. And he's like telling everybody like, hey, get your fucking shit ready. Tell your wives to fuck off. It's boys time. And he's like, I'll see you guys. And he pops out a joint and he fucking lights it. And he's in Amsterdam. And so then you see like everybody else start posting their social media like, hey, like we're just going out. We're going to go do this thing. And I was like, that is, I think the reason why everybody loves Bert is because he comes up with stupid fucking ideas, but then he makes them life. and
Yeah.
the life that he gives to those is fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
But that's
And
the
then you have
crazy.
then
That's the
there's like,
crazy thing. Like people have to. You got to know somebody. Like you
but
have.
there,
Like if
Well,
you
he knew Joe
know.
Rogan.
Yeah.
but it's not.
Like
It's
Yeah.
not like he's a crazy dude who just does shit fucking willy nilly. And it's like, hey, bro, like you should definitely simmer the fuck down. Like he's out drinking and partying like a normal fucking 50-something-year-old dad who's about to be an empty nester and doesn't give a fuck, right? And is rich.
Yeah.
But then he's doing it to include other people. He's not doing it in a harmful manner or just like
Right.
I wonder
being
how many days Bert gets up from his bed just butt fucking naked, walks out, and his daughter's
Yeah.
like, "Oh God, Dad!" And he's like, "Oh fuck!" and he just runs back in the
Yeah.
room.
dude,
But
it's so
Bert does
funny.
a lot of stuff like he does pranks and all these fun games with his friends, but he's not mean spirited. And these guys are like nearly 55 years
Working on
old.
60.
They're done
Yeah.
playing with these games, but he dances on the line perfectly. But it's funny. Like Ari Shafir is kind of more of an edgelord.
Oh my god.
What did he do? He put something in his drink,
Oh God,
and I
yeah.
think these
Fuck.
guys are like almost
He had
60 years old.
he had to call
That
Joey.
probably caused a rift for a bit.
He had to call Joey Diaz
To
because
help him.
Ari Shafir drugged him on fucking ecstasy.
I don't know what I'm
Or
doing.
no,
Oh,
it
you're an
was
ecstasy,
either
bro.
ecstasy or Molly. But he said he had to go back in the house and he looked at his wife. He's like, I need you to not be mad for 5 minutes. And she was like, okay, what happened? He was like,
Yeah,
Ari drugged me. And she's like, what?
yeah.
And he's like, I don't want the girls to see me like this. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to go outside and just stay out there for a while.
Stay on the porch.
He's like, I'll be okay, but just, keep the girls away from me. So he said he went outside, and this is where he knew that Joey Diaz was like an all-time like friend. He called
Okay.
Joey and he was like, hey, I need your help. And he's like, what's up? And he's like, Ari drugged me. He's like, give me 10 minutes. I'll be right there. Don't fucking move. And he said Joey Diaz came over and he said that Joey popped the same. He asked Ari for the same drug while he was walking through the house. He's like,
Let's go together.
he's like, hey there, Mrs. K. How you doing?
We're gonna
I'm
take
just going to
this
go
trip
outside.
together.
Hey, Ari, come here. And he said he sat on the back porch and watched the sunrise or sunset with Bert just to make sure he was okay. But then
That's fucked
Joey's
up.
the same guy who's on JRE in front of like 5 other dudes popped a 200 milligram
No, fuck that.
fucking
Fuck
star
that.
of death.
Bro, I've taken a 50 milligram edible before. Fuck that.
Dude, he did
Yeah.
a 200 milligram star of death.
And still
he
functional.
He just popped it like it was a fucking candy. And then the other dude's like, and he's gonna fucking drive. And Joe is like, yeah, he's gonna drive a well. He's gonna be fucking
He's gonna
high
drive
functioning.
well.
He's like, this is Joey. My favorite thing to do when I'm bored and I'm just like watching the kid or doing whatever is I put Joey Diaz, one of his episodes from Joe Rogan on, and I
Yeah.
just let it go. And it is the wildest, like the way he fucking tells stories about growing up, the way he talks about women, fucking hysterical. It'll never go out of fashion.
And I believe every word of it. I don't care. Like
Yep.
me and my brothers argue about this, like how much of Joey Diaz's stories are true. And we all like to have our own
100%.
Joey Diaz impression, but it's
Mhm.
like I choose to believe it, and his voice is like his voice is oddly calming and soothing. It puts me to sleep.
His personality reminds me a lot of my uncle, where it's like I never want to be that uncle who's just like wild, crazy, and it's like
Yeah.
you honestly know is deep down was a dirtbag for a while. But if you have that person in your life, there's nobody better to learn about life from. Like when he talks about there's the one girl who like came to his show and she's like showing showing him like her cooch and shit, and he's like, oh yeah, like let me see that monkey, and he's like, what the fuck? And he's like telling Joe, he's like, yeah, she showed it to me right there and then she just started sucking my dick and shit just happened. And then he said he walked out the next night for his show. She was in the crowd and she had a huge shiner because her fucking boyfriend had like beat the shit out of her. But I guess in the middle of his set, the woman comes out and she just starts yelling in the crowd, like, I sucked that comedian's dick, blah, blah, blah. And the boyfriend's pissed, but he's not even pissed that she sucked his dick and that it was the comedian. He's pissed because he's like, you owe me $40 fucking.
Jesus Christ.
He's like,
that's
I
what
want
it's
my
worth.
fucking money.
What the fuck?
And Joey Diaz's stories, I could listen to those all fucking day.
It's weird because some of the most profound life advice I've ever got was from my fucking weird, dirty ass uncles.
But what's the greatest life like I don't want to say saying, but like the greatest advice on life anybody's ever given you?
Me?
Well, both of you. We're all
Oh,
on
you can
here.
go first, Nick. I'm gonna think for a little bit. There's a
Well, the
lot
only
of
thing
it.
that comes to my mind right now, because if you start following these like influencer guys on Instagram, and it's just tons of motivational quotes that just go right over your head the second you're not
Yeah, like,
looking at them. They
yeah.
don't
Mhm.
have any staying power, but there's one that stayed with me and that's actually helped me. And it says, hitting the snooze button isn't going to make you any less tired, only late. And that's that little mantra pops into my head when I'm about to hit it. It's like, I'm not going to be less tired. It's just going to make me late. And honestly, that
Mhm.
stupid little quote has had such a big effect on me.
I like that one.
Yeah.
There's like
I,
no
mm,
grand saying that's like guided me through any sort of like big moral choice or anything like that. I don't I like like a Gandalf quote isn't gonna like save me like in a tough situation, like thinking of anything like that.
I have my
Think
kid
think
watching
into
Transformers, so my kid's learning from Optimus Prime sayings right now. So
that.
can't go wrong there.
I just
I
feel
heard.
like yeah, those tough decisions are like what happens is going to be a product of your entire life, not any
Mhm.
sort of single quote or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just what you've been built to respond with, and like how.
I can tell you for a fact, like, it's not one quote, but it's a book. And I was telling Steve about this beforehand. It was a book I had to read before going to Ranger School. It was a
How to have
mandatory
sex for
reading list.
dummies.
I fucking know. That's the last thing you're thinking about when you're freezing your balls off. You're like, Jesus Christ. It was Man's Search for Meaning. And it was Viktor Frankl. He was a concentration camp victim. Um,
I
he
think I've
was a
heard Peterson bring this one up.
Yeah, you gotta get the audiobook and listen to the first. You only need to hear the first and last part. So part one, part three. The middle one is just him explaining what logotherapy is or whatever. But
Yeah,
one of
I'll get
the
that.
one of the best things that I think I do remember from it was life never ceases to have meaning. Even suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment that it finds a meaning.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Because
that's great.
and I thought about that every day I was in Ranger School. I was like, you know what, I'm suffering, but the only thing that's going to change is either A, I quit, or B, I finish, and that's it. Like that was the only two options: you either quit or you pass. There's no in between. And if you just accept the fact that this sucks for now and it's eventually going to be over, because nothing lasts forever. Like nothing lasts forever.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause no matter what, at some point, even those people who are putting you through that kind of hell, they're gonna get tired. They want to go home at some point.
yeah.
Time,
So Ken and
and
Steve,
then
did you
some.
guys meet in the Rangers program or?
No,
Mm-mm.
I I don't have the drive necessarily to go through those programs just because
Oh,
at the end of
there
the
we
day,
go, right there.
most, if not all, the people that I know that have gone through those programs, they come out and they're like, "Hey, I want to go to school. I want to go live on my own. I want to go do all these other
Yeah,
things." And
yeah.
it's not a bad thing, but that brotherhood is something that most people will never feel. But I don't feel like I need it. And so the other aspects of that job, like the kicking indoors, going to do like late night missions and all that shit, mm, I think I'd rather do some other stuff with my life. So serving and like if I had to go fight, like cool, I'll pick up a gun, I'll do all the things. But if you're like, hey, you're going to be the tip of the spear, I'm like, there are some other guys that are way more mentally qualified for that. Like that, it is not a beta mindset, in my opinion.
It's not for
To it,
everybody. Call it
well,
that. It's not for
it's not
everybody.
for everybody, but just
Yeah.
because you do it doesn't make you like the alpha
No.
person. It makes you the prototypical person who wants to be the first one in the door. If
The
you are that person, then cool. But if you're cool with being one of the people in the room, like
Yeah,
when shit is
you
supposed to
shouldn't
pop
be
off.
there. You shouldn't be there.
No, I'm saying if you are one of the people who wants to just be in the room, you want to be a part of the like elite force that goes and does it. There are jobs for that in that community, but it's normally a support group. But if
Yeah.
you want to be like the first dude out of the helicopter, and as soon as your like boots hit the ground, you are shooting somebody
yeah.
with night vision and all this other shit, because that's when you're doing your ops. It's not in the fucking day.
Yeah. It's not in the
You're
daytime.
You're
playing
not
laser
doing
tag.
I
Yeah,
don't
nice
think.
one.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done. We never had a mission in Afghanistan that was daytime. It was always
no.
night, and you could. And that's the most. That's one of the scariest things because you don't know from a biological standpoint. We're all trained, or all kind of set in our heads that like there's something in the dark that could kill you. Be afraid of
Yeah.
it. Stay away from it. And
Yes.
what
Yeah,
I
that's interesting you say it that way, Steve, because I'm sure you could have made it through buds or whatever programs for the Rangers, whatever they go through. It's not that. And I think some people like a shallow interpretation is like, oh, you're not there because you couldn't have done it. You couldn't have hacked it. It's
Yeah.
literally a question of what do you want to be doing with your time serving?
Yes.
You want to be doing nighttime stuff, or do you want to just be
Well,
It's
just
there's
want to
also
serve, plain and
like you,
simple?
like you
It's
could go
literally serving.
be you'd go be an intelligence officer and be in the shit.
in a Ranger
Also,
regiment. Yeah.
you could also go overseas and be a part of an elite force that goes out and fucking execute shit. But you're the intel guy. There's
Yeah.
also the people who join, who like I had a buddy. He went through Ranger school, or not Ranger school, selection for Green Berets.
That's not
Was it
fun.
was a 21-day non-select.
That's
He
fucked. That
basically
happens.
he essentially got
Yep.
peered out. Where at the end
Yeah.
they either have only so many people they're going to pick, or they're just like, hey, amongst what you did with your peers, we saw things that we don't want. So
And it's
a
not even
no-go.
it's not the cadre instructors that peer you out, it's your peers. So like at the
Mhm.
end you do a survey and you literally write down on a sheet of paper, everyone has a number. And you know this number, this person. You're around people for by day 4, you know everyone by their roster number. That's like
Mhm.
that starts off with like a class of 125 or something like that. Well, no, I was like 125, and then by the second day, you're cut in half.
What
That
was
means
your
people
number, Ken?
just
What was your number?
oh
Remember?
141. Oh, sorry, 131,
How high do they
131.
go? Like they're up to like 300 or something?
No, they just give you so they go from like so number 0. They count
Yeah.
from 0, so 0 days the first day, but 0 to 125. Luckily for
Mhm.
my class, we got like 135 spots, and I was 131. And I
And
remember that like very vividly.
most
By
of the
day,
time they go into those classes and they're like, hey, we only have 20 spots, right, to
Yeah.
give out.
yeah,
And they know that even if they get 20 people, the next phase in Q course will also knock out some people.
yeah. Because the Q course, you do the 21 days of. You can go to a Discovery Channel and type in 21 days of hell or whatever, and
Mhm.
they'll tell you. You'll see the whole thing. After if you get selected through that, you go to Q course, and then it consists of a language battery for a region. You get assigned to a region like AFRICOM, CENTCOM, which they had at Eurocom,
Mhm.
or Asia, Pacific
Northcom.
Asia, and like after that you go to after the language you go to Robin Sage, and Robin Sage is probably the hardest thing. That is like if behind what the SEALs do off the island of Coronado for their tactical training, Robin Sage is a close second,
Yeah.
because you're out there for, I think it's 15 to 30 days. It depends on the cycle rate and what they want to test you on. You're going through
Mhm.
every small unit tactic, every planning level for your team, every job that your team has, because you get assigned a job like weapons specialist, demolitions, intel, communications,
Medic.
medic, and you're going through and you're learning everybody's job. And you need to qualify to get through Robin Sage. That no one ever wins Robin Sage, but you become more competent because of Robin Sage, and it's like your outlook on it. And
What's
the
it called?
one
Robin Sage.
there's a history lesson. Let me make sure I
Because
get
Um,
it right.
there's some robin
there's
that
a
flew through a tree and his name was Sage.
yeah.
yeah, I got it.
Yeah, it's actually a cooking dish. Yeah, Robin.
So-
Sage.
So my broad take on this is like that one dude I had, he used to always talk like, call other people betas or call like, certain dudes like, hey, that's like an alpha thing or that's weak shit, whatever. There are some
Yeah.
dudes that belong in that category, but there are also some people who, especially it's a lot easier when you come into the military and you go straight to those units, right? You go straight through your basic training and your AIT or whatever, and you go straight there. You don't know freedom. You don't know what it's like to get off at
Nothing.
5. You don't know
Nothing.
what it's like to get a general haircut anymore. And then sometime after your training,
Yeah.
you finally relax.
Yeah.
And then you finally are like, oh, I can be a person again.
That shower you take after Ranger school, like after each phase, it's
Mhm.
like the first shower you ever took in your life. You're like,
Ra-
oh my God,
Rangers-
this is so fucking nice.
I've never had a break from a shower that long. I've never experienced this joy.
Go out and camp for 5 days and don't wash yourself and come back and take a shower
Yeah.
and go, oh, you'll be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember now. Robin Sage was essentially like, you remember World War II? Well, you remember World War II, obviously. And they had, the British had the OSS, their version of the intelligence services. Well, he kind of helped. Robin Sage was like a guy that helped make the basis of the Green Berets. So they named that course after him because he did a lot of the things that they still implement today to like to test people to see if they belong in that unit. So it's a I have a buddy that went through. He's on his first look for lieutenant colonel now. He's been in the army for one, two,
Yeah.
Probably
11
15
years.
years.
11 years. He's a Green Beret. He's an officer, so he's doing real well, really good. But yeah, the biggest thing that I learned from it was your choices have consequences, good, bad, or indifferent. Everything comes with a consequence. And you know what's the funny thing about consequences? You don't get to pick what it is.
Mm-mm.
It just happens. And your choices have consequences not only for yourself but everybody else. So if you don't want everybody else to have a bad consequence or basically the ultimate consequence, dying, make good choices.
Yeah.
Get a group together and think about it. Plan appropriately, plan accordingly. Make sure you're there and you're making these hit times, XYZ. That was the biggest thing. People didn't show up on time, they got dropped. And we had people that wouldn't show up on time and they got there right at the last minute. And guess what? At the end of the 21 days, we peered them out. They got peer selected out. And they were like, what the fuck? And like, that's on you, dude. If you can't show up here, you can't show up then when the shit actually matters.
Yeah.
But there's an aspect, especially of like buds and like SEAL teams. When you're going through that course and they give you the option of ringing a bell, like
Mhm.
it's a physical notion, a movement that you have to do to say I give up.
Mhm.
That I don't want to say it makes it easier, but I feel, in my opinion, personally, if I wanted to either perceive or like portray myself as like the alpha, the tough guy, the guy who won't quit, I can get myself mentally to the point where I'm going to be like, I'm not going to ring that bell. You're going to have to drag my hand over there and you're going to have to you will have to physically make me
You know
ring
what
the bell.
that function
I could,
is?
but I'm saying I could still be somebody who doesn't belong in that group personally and like mentally and personality wise. And I might not be a good fit, but I can get myself to the point. So I can be
Yeah.
a beta person. I could be somebody who just wants to be in the room and like, oh, I'm pointing a gun, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm cool, but I'm not willing to be the first guy in. I can still make it there because I can tell myself, hey, that is the one thing you don't do. Don't
But
find yourself next to that bell.
Two things are true. The military only promotes based off of potential, not really past performance. That's what it's supposed to be based off of. I think they do a good job of that. Number two is that thing that functions as a bell, like in Ranger School or whatever, you can withdraw, but you have to go up to your platoon leader, platoon sergeant in your group, say, I want to withdraw. They're probably going to tell you, hey, we don't want you to withdraw. We need your people. Because if you're short people, in your squads, then that means someone else is carrying that burden. Someone else is carrying those other 240 fucking rounds of ammunition. You're just fucking everybody else over. But the thing that I had one of the instructors say to me or say to my small group in Ranger School at the beginning, he was like, look, there's, X amount of days here. And he did the math. He said it was like 2 million something seconds. He was like, it literally takes 1 second for you to stop, get down on one knee, take a breath, and recompose yourself. And then you've made it 3 more seconds. If you can keep making it second by second, one thing at a time, one task at a time, you're going to be fine. And that's literally what I did. There were times I was like, I'm so fucking cold. My pants are frozen to my fucking boots. I don't want to fucking be here anymore. And I'm just sitting there like, fuck. You sit there, you start to cry or whatever. You're like really sad about it. You talk to somebody sitting next to you in the same little, security position. You're like, dude, I just want to quit. They're like, no, it's going to be okay. Let's just get to tomorrow. Let's make it to the next meal, which you get fed one meal a day.
That's exactly what Andy Stump said the same thing about going through buds. You break it down in just one. I could do one more morning.
Yeah.
And then you just psychologically trick your way into getting through the entire thing.
Yeah.
And to anybody listening or anybody who doesn't know this, don't make the mistake of thinking that the people who go through these things, and this is another reason why I don't necessarily want to go through it, is because those dudes, like Ken said, they cry. They fucking weep. They break themselves down into like, they think that they are the fat, obese chick at prom while they're looking in the mirror and they're anorexic. And that is the complex that you develop, but in a different light where you're just like, I'm a pussy. I'm a piece of shit. I'm going to let all these people down, but I want to quit. I want to go home. And your buddy next to you is just like, dude, make it to the next next MRE. That's it.
Make,
And then by the
yep,
time
next
you
MRE.
you
Yep.
might you might you might just be fucking hungry.
Yeah.
And then at that point you eat and you're like,
Yeah.
That's
all right, cool.
you know, I never went through any of this, but I did a religious mission, so that's how I'm just semi relating to things because like when I turned 19 as an LDS person, you
You
either
have to go.
are you going
Yeah.
on your mission, or are you going military, or are you going straight to college?
Hmm.
I chose a religious mission, and it's funny. I don't know if you guys are experiencing this too, but the mission was hard, and you want to quit and you want to go home. And it does feel like these days that they're potentially softening things. They're making the
Yeah.
mission shorter. You don't have to wear the uniform as stringently. It's not as strict. And those are the things that drew me to the mission. I wanted this call to adventure. I wanted to live differently for 2 years. I wanted to get away from everything. Now these LDS missionaries are using smartphones. They have Facebook accounts. You see them doing cringy TikToks every once in a while too. Is anything like that? I hear rumors. Is anything like that going on in the military? Do you guys feel like they're weakening the brand, or is that just kind of fake news that I
Do you want first
much
crack at
of
this?
that is real?
So I'm out now, but when I was in, there was a lot of political correctness that was starting to come around. There were memos coming out where, oh, you have to, someone presents themselves and says they want to be called she and they're he, you kind of have to they were just starting to talk about that. And I was like, oh,
This is
fuck.
recently then, right? Or what year is this?
This was 2 years ago. And I was like, okay, it's just starting to get weird. And then you couldn't say things like you couldn't say retarded. Like that's a really big military terms. And they don't, and it's not to be disparaging to somebody that has a mental disability. It's you say that to your buddy because they do something that someone with a mental disability would do. That's a choice they would fucking make. And it's not making fun of that person. It's just, hey,
is the
dude, you're acting
fastest,
retarded.
especially in the NCO Corps, is the fastest way to get across to somebody the urgency of what you were talking about, and the most direct line from A to B of you fucked up.
It's a tool.
Is to call somebody a retard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finding the modern kind of language police, they're really making things harder for themselves. There's a tweet from, I think it was Associated Press, saying, we're going to refrain from saying the before a group of people, like the French, the Spanish,
the
this
blacks.
and then they had a tweet replying to their own tweet saying, hey, we want to apologize for saying the French just now. We're going to edit that. I'm like, so how are you going to, you can't even explain your own rules anymore.
Yeah. So then the funny thing was somebody else quote tweeted them and said, quote, the unquote Associated Press.
Yeah. Call yourself Associated Press.
It's just gotten to the point where it's just language has become so unuseful. They have to walk around everything instead of just saying, hey man, what you just did was retarded.
Yeah. Well, so the Associated Press is also the biggest piece of shit organization in United States media history. Those of you guys who don't know, if
they need to stop ranking teams on college teams. They're fucking stupid.
Nope.
Yes.
If you hang on. If you read the book,
you were British.
if you read the book, The Master Switch by Tim Wu, which I currently have in front of me, the Associated Press helped overturn a duly elected president about I want to say 80 or 90 years ago, early 1900s.
What was that? God damn it! I know
so
you're talking about.
What had happened? What had happened was yes. No, I don't think it was Teddy Roosevelt. It was somebody else. What had happened was basically the country came out and they'd said that so and so had won, right? And the Associated Press had
Dewey and Truman.
Yeah.
The newspaper that said Truman wins.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the one specifically.
Yeah, he's right.
I think it's a different one. I think it's a different one.
Okay.
It might be Truman. I think it was Taft, maybe. That was earlier than 1900s.
Dewey and Truman, where the newspaper printed the wrong answer.
No, so this one was the Associated Press had come out and they were trying to say that one president won. And it was right around the time of Reconstruction. And what had happened was the guy who won was basically saying, hey, I'm going to start Reconstruction. This is how this is going to go. The Associated Press and all the people who fund the Associated Press at the time said, we can't have that because the entire in the South where they were all from said, hey, we will go bankrupt, everything will go bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to help you overturn this, change the tide here, and you are going to delay Reconstruction by, I think it was like 10 years. And so essentially this is what happened. Like the Associated Press went back on their story and they printed and helped like fund the change to a duly elected president and said, no, we're giving it to this guy because this is what these ballots all say. And here you go. So that's loose lips on how that went, but it's in the books. If you look that up, Ken, I don't even know how you would word it in Google, but they went backwards on saying who won the election and then helped it based on the folks who were like funding the Associated Press out of the South. Because one president who's it
When you're saying Reconstruction, are you talking about like post World War II, or is this after?
No, post Civil War.
Oh, okay.
I might have been wrong on my time frames, but it was
Dewey and Taft. I remember that happened right after the Dust Bowl.
If you look up what was the look up the presidency right after the Civil War ended, because I think it's the president who took over for Lincoln when he ran for election after that term.
It wasn't Ulysses S. Grant, was it?
No,
Andrew Johnson. Yeah, it was Andrew Johnson.
And who else?
Andrew Johnson was the only president that was really impeached.
No. It has nothing to do with impeachment. It's an actual election. So it was the election after the guy who served for Lincoln when he was shot. So that guy carried out the remainder of that term, right, that Lincoln would have served. And then it's the next presidential election.
We got to listen to that in this podcast again.
Yeah, it was the biggest gap. Like it was the biggest gap of any presidential election, like the biggest margin of victory.
But needless to say, the Associated Press is a bunch of pieces of shit, and I think it's a widely known thing that them. I also found out through that same book that AT&T has been a thing since like the fucking early years of our industrial revolution type deal, and then especially into the 1900s, like they cornered the market a couple of times on like radio transmissions, cell phones, or not cell phones. Like there was one company who came up with an extension piece for your household phone, and then AT&T filed some bullshit lawsuit that said that it would only inhibit people like making calls better or whatever, and then it would hurt their profitability. So then they basically sued them and took the product from that small company, and then 3 years later mass produced it. And then AT&T has cornered the market on multiple occasions and had to been broken up. And then it went into like the early 2010 period when then they owned T-Mobile, they owned a couple other companies, they bought over Comcast, and then they're like, whoa, hang on, AT&T, we've seen this playbook before from you guys. Yeah. It's kind of like when Germany went to World War I, and then 10, 15 years later, they pulled basically the same hat trick. You're like, well, hang on, we need to back up here. You guys seem to be doing the same thing over and over again.
Fair.
And now there's borderline stuff like that going on in Europe. So
yeah,
like we're telling farmers that they can't farm.
Yeah,
well, that's a whole.
Your cows are farting too much.
Is it New Amsterdam or was it Denmark?
Netherlands.
Yeah, and they are just getting fucked.
Spreading manure on like
they're literally.
It's pretty base.
Yeah.
What is it called? Eminent domain. Where the government
they're invoking eminent domain. That's what the United States can do to you. The government to build roads. They can.
And then I recently found out that in Canada they are making dairy farmers literally throw away hundreds of thousands of liters of milk.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to drive the price down.
Yeah, they want the price to stay up.
So the basically the Department of Agriculture for Canada is saying, hey, if you sell more milk than this, we will fine you and then arrest you and then close your milk farm.
You guys looked into the new chicken feed issue? I don't know if that's
Oh my god.
Chicken
basically
feed? Oh
We
yeah,
have
about the eggs. Yeah.
we have
yeah, 'cause
not
I don't
even
know
talked
what to
about
think
his
about
flags yet.
this. It's hard to look at the fact checking and stuff like that because I'm like, I don't know what kind of chicken
It's
feed could possibly stop chickens from laying eggs, honestly.
the whole like
Yeah.
farmland and capitalization on farming right now, and then the kind of
Yeah.
like the refinery of it and limitations is there's so many things that are too coincidental for me to
It's
not kind of appeal to my mind.
so a
That
Yeah,
massive, what was it, like 20, no, what was it, 35% of, what was that, 35? Where is it at? Where's it? I
chicken
just had
wings.
it right here. No. So a percentage, a massive percentage of the chicken feed that goes to smaller commercial farmers was quote unquote
A
poisoned.
memento, baby is stirring.
Yeah. So it was
Be right back.
poisoned. So that killed a lot of farmers. He knocked everything over. Yeah, you fucked up. Yeah. A massive amount of farmers.
that was point of view of the
Um,
baby. Just
yeah.
fell.
Yeah. A massive amount of farmers lost chicken. They lost livestock. And
Yeah,
that's why they can't produce enough eggs. And they're saying as well, if you sell more eggs than this, then we're going to shut you down. And then they're essentially these big major producers of eggs like Eggland's Best, all these places are are basically calling health regulations that are really absurd on small farmers that they can't literally afford to uphold, which are things that won't even affect the chickens.
yeah.
And they're calling the FDA on them, and they're getting shut down. So that's why you can't get enough eggs, and that's why you go to Costco and you can only buy 2 cartons of eggs now. It's fucking wild.
Yeah. It's just a shame, like with a lot of the food processing factories catching on fire in the same time too.
Yeah, that's what the
And
beef.
you want to like, you don't want to come off as just like an idiot jumping on the conspiracy bandwagon because you look into it like, okay, I understand how this can look crazy with all the situations going on. And you're
Yeah,
like, but how often do these places catch fire
yeah, but we
regardless
don't. Yeah,
of
we don't
timing?
believe in coincidences over here, Nick.
I
There's
know.
no such thing as a like if
Well,
one
we're built to
person.
find patterns, right?
Yeah, but yeah, see, that's what I'm. Yeah, but if you get struck by lightning, and
Yeah.
then your wife gets struck by lightning, and God forbid your
Yeah.
kid gets struck by lightning. When you get struck by lightning, we go, oh, that's a one off. That's kind of fucked up. If your
Yeah.
wife gets struck by lightning, we go, the fuck are you guys eating? Your kid gets struck by
Um,
lightning, we're like, Nick, you and your family have to stay indoors from now on because you're
yeah.
iron rich, my man. Something's up with you. You have metal in you somewhere that we're not don't know about. Are you an alien? Like
I know.
there's an underlying cause to something
It's like
happening.
walking around with my socks on outside.
That's
I just shuffle around.
it's like I'm
Yeah.
gaining a
Yeah,
positive
that there turns
charge.
out that was the issue. You're like, Nick, you're shuffling around, dude.
You're
You're
just
shuffling
shuffling too much.
yeah.
You think it's lightning, but it's just you're touching the light switch too many times
Yeah.
out the day, bro. Come on now.
Yeah, I don't know where I fall on a lot of the current conspiratorial stuff.
I mean, the Chinese balloon that's floating over
Yeah,
Kansas
that's the
right
new
now,
one, right?
that's bullshit. Well, not bullshit in the fact it's not true, but that should not be happening
Yeah.
because we can't fly a spy balloon or it's basically just a balloon with a satellite attached to it over China. We can't do that.
I know. And it came over it's funny how it came over Alaska and we just didn't see it or didn't care.
We
Whereas
didn't care.
yeah. And but it's like what info are they gonna get in Montana? Did they just lose control of this balloon?
There's Air Force bases up there. There's Air Force
Nice.
bases, and literally, so let me show you a map of the United States. I'm gonna give you a little education,
Give me some.
maybe.
Give me some.
I am. Let's see, here we go. Maps. Bam. I'm gonna present this.
Present.
Here we go. All right, so let's look at this. All right. See this whole stretch right here? Oh, he is
Uh-huh.
crying. He is upset all the way down. Let me show him topographical. The view is topographical. Um, layers, terrain.
You show me the
All right.
Rockies.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you
Yeah.
something crazy here. So what we know from like tried and true methodology that a mountain range or terrain is key. You control terrain, you control how a battle is fought or won. This is mountainous terrain. If someone tried to invade from California across, they're gonna have a real fucking hard time. So
Yeah.
they got to invade from here across, but because of the Appalachians, they're only going to get so far. But one thing about these mountains, major highways run across these mountain ranges, either to the east or west of them, or right in between them and go between. This is major highway. It's just 25 going up, right, all the way up Wyoming, all the way up here. The thing that's here is that Air Force Base all across here, scattered. You know, Air Force Base.
Oh, sorry, you're
Yes.
breaking. You're turning into a robot for a
Yeah,
millisecond.
you hear me? Okay, so you know what those Air Force bases contain?
No.
Nuclear warheads. We have nuclear warheads scattered all the way across this middle part of America. It's strategic and it's easily defensible. You wouldn't put a nuclear site or warhead here, because if you got invaded, those things are gone. They're useless. They're going to get control of that. You don't want to have control of that. So all the way across the middle of the United States, easily defensible from left and right or east and west, that's there. And that balloon is floating from Alaska down, skipped here, down, because NORAD's here. NORAD would have caught it and shot it down. They don't need any authority from the government to do that. And it's just floating across.
I mean, you guys are more into the military, but to me, it strikes me as incredibly stupid on the Chinese government to let a spy balloon float down to Montana instead of other methods of spying.
PsyOps.
A lot easier.
Except for the fact that it's actually insanely smart on them to do that, because they also know that we are being a bunch of pussies right now.
But not even that. It causes dissent. So it causes us to talk about it, us to go, government, you're stupid, da-da. And then that kind of kicks the government into gear to put out statements, making them seem weak. And not the government, the military,
or not to
put
general, out statements.
Or not to put out, well, basically maybe to put out, I would say put out statements about, what's going on, da-da-da. And then it just sows discord for us. And then we start using their platforms to talk about it. And then someone from the government that actually knows some shit's going to get on TikTok and talk about it, or Instagram and talk about it. And like, oh, we just confirmed what we already fucking probably knew, because most of the intelligence you get is open source as fuck.
Yeah. And then it goes to the Daily Wire, and then we listen to that. And then it's like, now the culture war just continues and continues.
Yep.
So you just think they're just poking at us?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Nothing's going to come of this, because you see the statement that was it the Air Force?
I don't think the other country wants to go to war.
I mean, you don't want to go to war with China. We don't want to go to war with China.
China does not want to go to war with us.
We do not want to go to war with China.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
Our fucking government wants a war. Make no mistake about that. But B, we would fucking demolish that fucking group.
We would become extremely poor first, because China owns most of our bonds. Us, Great Britain, and Japan.
They may own most of the bonds, but the rest of the world does not give a fuck about if China ends up in a shit show. So
I think the rest of the world does, because I think everyone is sort of depending on China for manufacturing. Yeah. I think everyone wants to keep China also rolling.
But China also demands the majority of importation for their own people when it comes to food and resources.
Hold on. I'm gonna show you something.
Their import game is just as important to them as their export game. And make no mistake, if we're doing all this hush-hush bullshit for fucking Ukraine, if we got into a war with China, imagine what the rest of the world does with China.
You ever heard of the OEC?
The only fucking groups that are going to care about China getting into that war and backing them is Russia and parts of the Middle East. That's
you ever heard of this? It's pretty cool. The Observatory of Economic Consensus. Here you go. You can find out everything you want to know. All right, here we go. Exports, 2.5 trillion. Imports, 1.5. That's a huge deficit. They do not import more than they export.
No,
they
literally as important to them.
Huh?
It's still a lot of importing.
It's a lot of importing.
What does that number under it say?
So they're number one of 226 exporting countries.
Yes, because they export bullshit to the rest of the world, and we all know it's bullshit, but it's cheap, right?
What happened when they didn't make the chips, Steve?
It doesn't. The chips won't matter. The chips won't matter in 5 years.
But we don't have the infrastructure or the ability to let people make those chips here. We don't.
Do you know how quickly that would fucking change the moment we declare war on China? Do you know how fast we would
I'm not a
become?
strategist, but I just feel like I think we're all learning with Ukraine, with Afghanistan, that
Yeah.
like going to war overseas is nearly impossible, especially in occupation after. Like, what do you do with this
Well,
land? You will never win.
but what I'm
I
saying
think the
is,
whole world is learning that you will just never win an occupation. You will never change a country.
what I'm
Invading America is impossible.
exactly, but that's why I'm saying we would win that war
Right.
100 times out of 100.
At what
Right.
because
But I don't
cost?
think we want
because
to win it.
their export or their import showed that they were just as dependent on what they import as what they export, because they are
I
number
see what you
2 out
mean.
of
They are
26.
relying. We're all the global economy. We're all relying on each other, and that's good peace.
And
Yeah.
but
Good
the
for peace.
fact that the United States is A, the world's reserve currency, and B, we have been asked to be the fucking world's protector, right, for the like 70, 80 years.
Yeah.
If China really stoked a legitimate war and declared war on us, right, whether they attacked or not, we wouldn't even have to lay a foot in China. We already have a position in South Korea. We already have a position in Japan. We have the greatest defense the world has ever seen with 2 fucking massive ass oceans. China would lose that war 100 times out of 100. They don't want fucking war with us.
An interesting perspective I heard on the whole Ukraine thing is, regardless whether you absolutely hate our involvement with it, some military guys are saying it's a good practice run.
It is. It really is. It
Practice run
is.
for getting stuff over there and ready to roll.
100%.
Well, that's another area of a little bit of dissent amongst the military community is we said that a couple of weeks or actually a year ago, the president, the White House said, hey, we're never going to put boots on ground. We're not going to put tanks on ground, no weapons, or we're not doing that because we are not entering this war. We have now sent over 31 tanks.
Yeah.
We have sent over X amount of funds for weapons. We have said to a legitimate 4-star general in the United States military said on an interview on national TV that we are expediting a deal with South American countries that have, Soviet era weapons, to send those weapons to Ukraine to be used in the fight against Russia. In exchange, we will use our stockade of weapons to replenish them with American-made weapons. What that really means is the how do I say this? The War Department, essentially, which is made up of all of our fucking companies that give all like the General Dynamics and the fucking Lockheed Martins and shit. We will just ask you to pay us a little bit in exchange. We will then pay these companies, line more of our pockets, and then give you new weapons. So give Ukraine all your old weapons, but we are telling you that we will replace those weapons with ours, which is just us saying, hey, our war factory is going to produce you new weapons if you do this thing that looks good on the global market. So the whole Ukraine thing, in my opinion, it's not to say, my commander in chief is wrong or something like that and be, insubordinate, but
fuck me.
There's a level of none of this fucking makes sense other than the fact that we are producing an army in a different country for our own gain. And we're calling it us not being directly involved with the war. Russia should, in all sympathetic to them or not, Russia should have declared war on us already, considering the fact that, like in World War II, Germany declared war on us when we started fucking sending shit to the UK. And that's why they sank all of our boats. We were involved in the war. We were secondhand involved in that war. The only way to be firsthand involved is if you put boots on ground from our own soldiers. But if we give you 31 of our M1 Abrams or make 31 more just for ourselves to produce the whole, we are in this war. So the United States is actively a member of this fucking war. We just have not been declared, because once Russia declares war on the United States, the entire economic landscape changes.
But one of the biggest things is you have to have diversity. And if you look at this, see
diversity
China,
in what?
How you import at your economy's diversity. So if you have a lot of diversity in your economy, you can afford to go to war with whomever the fuck you want. because you can always go to somewhere else to get the thing you need or the things you need. So you
Right.
got to look. So
Not
from
when they all not when they all flip
eh,
on you the same way they have. Dude, we had countries literally trying to ban other people from even leaving Russia. We had
yeah,
other countries literally
but
seizing boats that they have no right to take
China
just
was
because of
negative. So
port.
China, so in 2000, China was basically importing way more than they exported. That's the standard deviation number. Like they're down by 11 from whatever
Right.
the top of the bell curve
That's when they
was.
were only making children's toys.
Yeah, and they're going up. So
Yeah.
they went up. They went
It's
up
in the good days.
fucking.
What year is this?
This right here is 2000. So I just went back,
Yeah.
10, 11 years, or sorry, 20 years, 20 years. Got 31.
23.
And then they jumped up again to 28, and that's in 2020. Like that's a fuck ton of growth. That's a lot of diversification in 2 decades. That's hard to do. I don't think you understand. Like, do you
That
understand what
is
that means, Steve?
Ken, all these numbers mean bullshit to me when the people in that country that are making the exports are being paid less than a fucking rock is worth a day.
Well, I understand that, but just like Russia did, they closed their borders and didn't let people leave. You think China's not going to do the same
Exactly.
thing? They're going to
Exactly.
100% do the same thing, and
Exactly.
those people are still going to be making
But that
bullshit.
doesn't make you stronger. Because if you're still making bullshit, that doesn't make the bullshit better just because you made more bullshit. A
The
turd is
bullshit
still a
doesn't,
fucking turd.
but it doesn't have to be better. It just has to exist, and you have to have someone to buy it. And if you have a lot of buyers of a thing, then you're good to go.
Ken, who makes this list? The OEC
The
economic.
OEC, here it is. I'll show you.
Okay, so are these guys
Yeah.
like are they psyops because they referred to Taiwan as Chinese Taipei?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. You noticed that
Philippines.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like,
they.
wait, what country is no?
So the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
Bunch of
Two
fucking
of those
cunts.
guys that were in the Davos group run this. That's why I
Okay.
always, if someone has an argument about like import export, I always go to OEC. I'm like, here you go, look at this.
Yeah,
It's
but
from the
even
people.
they're not referring it to Taiwan. They're
Nope.
referring it to Chinese Taipei.
And that's out of like that's to keep everything
Is that not
calm.
necessarily a
That
political
that
decision, or
is
is
to
that a just
pander.
It
it's a
That's what we're
is.
pandering move?
doing for
Yeah.
It's a
Ken.
pandering move. It's what you call a. People use soft power. That's a
Yeah.
soft power move. It
In
really is.
hindsight, all of Putin's decisions are
That's a
seemingly
limp dick blowjob.
yeah. In hindsight, Ken, like it just feels like Putin's strategy right now is just it doesn't seem like it was well thought out or thought through, which is
No.
so is it I don't know. Steve,
You
are you
guys,
thinking this
you
is
guys.
just Chinese backed, like just him poking the bear type of situation?
Well,
Like, because he doesn't
it's
need to be doing any of this.
no, it's him. He's the fucking the hyena on the Pride Land who, because the lion has been sitting up on Pride Rock, kind of napping and not really doing much. He's
Yeah.
now going out and he's gathering little bits of food here and there while he can, right? And then, like when people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna go tell the lion," he's like, "Yeah, go ahead. I'll fuck up the lion with my 30 friends. 30 on one, yeah, we'll win." Right?
So
It's the same thing as Putin saying, like, "Hey, I'll use nukes if I have to."
let's
But
go back
now,
to
Well, it's
when
going to be
he,
really interesting if Putin's strategy turns out to be better than we thought, because I've heard a lot of people discuss
yeah,
that in the spring things might switch for the
yeah,
worse.
well, it
because
will, because then spring fighting is easier than winter fighting. But Russia fights well, quote unquote, during the winter, right?
Well, they defend better in the winter.
because once those swamps and marshes and that soft area gets soft from the springtime, like their optimum time to attack would have been from December to like mid-March for them. That's when their winters are the harshest.
Yes.
So they have until mid-March to make a big push. If not, then they're pretty much fucked. They can't get their tanks into there, or they're
But
Well, yeah, I assume if you're on the offensive, you want to be attacking in the summer and the spring.
but the thing is,
yeah,
Russia still fights wars the way they did in World War II, which is
Yeah.
why they're not aggressively winning this. But if they fought wars the way we fight them right now, they would have already won. And make no mistake, they would have clean swept all the way through Ukraine. Nobody would have stopped
It
them.
also doesn't seem like China is backing him as much as I thought they would.
no,
No,
because
that
it's a
was
dumb move.
that was
Because
a political.
the reason.
That's some good news out of this, honestly.
But the reason is because of this. So let's look. Well, numbers don't usually lie as long as the people put the numbers in correctly. So Russia's here, right?
Yeah.
China's all the way up here, and that's in 2020. their economic diverse. So this only comes out every 4 years, and they go back and backdate it up to the current year. So
Yeah.
that's all we can really go off of. If a country has an economic diversity that's really really low,
Yeah.
that means they're not taking your shit. That means they're not putting out shit. They're useless to you. They can't do shit for you. It would make more sense. So let's say if Saudi Arabia did some crazy shit and they pulled they try to pull what Russia did with Ukraine, China would be like 100%, we got you. Because look at these two scores. Their index scores are relatively close. If you look at this, so let's go back
Well,
to,
that's how you play Risk and you're opening up like the economic like
yeah,
diversity of the
yeah,
country. I
yeah,
like
you're
how you're
playing.
studying the wars.
I
It's a very
try.
nerdy way of looking at it, but it's probably one of the more correct ways.
So
Well,
we can't go back all the way to like 1960 to the last World War, even Vietnam. So, but we can go off of just past conflicts. So let's look at somewhere in the Middle East. Let's see if we can find like Iran. Fuck it, let's look at Iran. This Pakistan. It's cool. Pakistan. Oh, not even Pakistan.
hang on. Can I say something real
Iraq.
quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up?
So let me get into something. So the reason I brought up that analogy of like the lion kind of like sweeping and shit is imagine that lion is a multitude of countries, right? It's essentially the entire Western Europe, along with the US, Canada, etc. Right?
The
How many of all of those countries realistically have either come out and like provided strength to this war, have done anything other than make it a proxy war? Not a fucking one of them, right? Everybody just kind of like laying back. We don't really want to do anything right now because we're pandering. We're trying to make it look like we super duper care about Ukraine when we fucking don't. They give nothing to us except for food. But the other reason, like Germany is not going after Russia because Germany gets more than I believe it's 1/3 of its energy from Russia's natural resources. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but
So these countries are also dependent on Russia.
you want
But
to
the
see a
moment that all those countries decide to take responsibility for themselves and become detached from Russia is when the lion would wake up. And then the hyena's ass is fucked. But the rest
but
of the world is not doing that because nobody wants to fucking take the
let's look at
road
look at
away
Iraq. So
from.
this is 2000, right? It's 2000.
Ah,
What happened in 2000? Tell me, Nick. What happened? You know what it is.
you talking about?
Yep, we invaded Iraq.
Oh, okay.
It
I'm
got
like,
invaded.
well, Y2K.
Well, technically, let's technically
The
we
internet
invaded
bubble.
Iraq. We were in Iraq before 2001. Way before that, we
Oh,
were occupying,
see,
doing things.
that's why I gave the wrong answer because I thought we
Yeah,
invaded after 2001.
no, it's right around there. So we got Afghanistan first and moved to Iraq in like 2003, but conditions were being
Gotcha.
set for Iraq, so it's at the bottom of the list. They didn't have
It's
anything.
leftovers from the Gulf War.
The only thing we can get from them is oil, right? And
Yeah.
they because they have a dictatorship that wasn't formed off of a not a theocracy, but like kind of the monarchy that Saudi Arabia was formed after. They couldn't really diversify their economy.
Hey,
Because
mute me real quick.
yeah, because they didn't have the economic diversity to get that stuff put everywhere. No one wants to
Yeah.
fuck with Iraq. They're like, we could just go to Saudi Arabia, blah blah. So here we go. Moving into 2010, where did Iraq go? They moved up a little bit because we invaded and we spent time in there and we started building a
Yeah.
government. And then Iraq took a huge fucking jump here.
Wow.
Once we in 2020, since we've been gone, we installed a democratic, kind of pseudo democratic government so they could have a way to easily export their goods or import things, because before we got there, Saddam controlled everything that got imported, exported. Now they have a Congress or a House of Representatives, so to speak, and they can
Yeah.
get decisions made fairly quickly. That's one good thing about the US. We can get shit done pretty quick because we go, hey, we want to do this. People get together, vote. They like it. Our system's kind of fucked up. We can move things faster, but it moves pretty fast. And we go, hey, we're going to trade here. Or they leave trade up to the SEC and the different entities, therefore. So we know war happened. If you take every country in here that experienced war and the United States had a hand in it, they jumped in economic diversity. That's a good thing. So the next part that I'm going to say to you is that, well, who do you not see on here? You don't find Ukraine. Like, let's try to find Ukraine.
I can't even find Russia.
Yeah, you can't find Russia right now because Russia didn't
That's
have
something
anything
that I
to
learned from
give.
out of all this is that Russia's economy is basically smaller than Florida.
It's trash. It's
It's
trash.
very,
So
honestly, there's a lot of comforting news to come out of this invasion to show that the world is so hesitant to go to war. Even like a crazy maniac like a Kim Jong Un or Putin,
mhm.
they can't make the butterfly effect happen like we think of in all the scenarios.
Because
The
everything's
only
so
real butterfly
complex.
effect is somebody actually setting on off a nuke, which I mean is still a relevant conversation.
So what power has been used this entire time against Russia? Come on, Nick, you know this.
It's just trade.
Sanctions, yeah,
Yeah.
it de-diversifies their economy, which sends them plummeting down this fucking list, and it means that someone at the top of this list not even going to touch them. That's why uh, China hasn't gone and helped them. They're like, we cost benefit analysis for us to sit here and try to
Yeah.
help you the fuck out during this. That will cost us billions and trillions of dollars per year in trade. Why the fuck would you do that? Like, if I told you, Nick, I want you to go across the street and help your poor neighbor and hope that they give you something in return afterwards. I want you to use X 20% of your income per month, help your next door neighbor, and hope that they give you something in return. What would you do? Would you do it
No.
on a hope and a prayer?
No.
Exactly.
But
It's
but I guess to counter that a little bit, it shows like this thing right here, just how much capitalism and free trade contributes to peace. Because it's
mm-hmm.
like we kickstarted that for Iraq, and this isolationism like of Iran, of Russia and stuff. It reminds me of the Treaty of Versailles with Germany. You isolate these countries, and then they have nothing to lose.
Yeah. If
So
you get ice, yeah,
you give these countries something to fight for and something to lose, and then it
yeah,
tends to be good. And then we pull out of Iraq, and then it goes away
yeah.
instantly.
You give them enough to take care of themselves,
Yeah.
and you hope that it stays in a decent place. You hope that
Well,
it
that's why
sticks.
it's like maybe I would help my neighbor
Yeah,
because
yeah,
maybe it'll work out.
yeah. You want to do enough to help and hope that they can stabilize on their own. And also in that same statement, you want them to be so diverse. Well, actually, you don't want to sanction a country to the point where they can't feed their fucking people. Because the second they can't feed their people, that's when the
Yeah.
hyenas come in. That's when the three-letter agencies go in and go, we can overthrow this fucking country and set up our own little proxy government and do what the fuck we want to do. And we're not the only country with three-letter agencies. We're not. Every
Yeah.
country has them. FSB, was it China's? Yeah, then China has, I can't remember what China's is called, but
James
like,
Bond.
yeah, those things exist. And this right here will tell you it will help you tell a story. And that's the only thing I'm good at. That's what I do. I
Right.
go to war.
So hey, we've been on this for a long time.
For a while.
I am noticing that I have a limited amount of time because he's at some point going to start crying.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Nick. Let's talk about why we really brought you.
Let me put that at the fucking end. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Fucking
No,
end.
this is a good podcast because we went straight into it. I still don't even know how you guys met each other. How long this podcast?
It's almost. We've been doing this for almost a year.
We met through doing CrossFit and stuff, and both being in the Army on the same base. And then we met through some mutual friends as well. But I wanted to bring you on. I saw obviously there was an Instagram ad. So kudos to you for that Instagram ad. Hopefully a lot of people saw that.
Yeah, you cost me 10 cents probably if you click on it. Yeah.
Sorry. Well, tell us about what you're doing, man.
Yeah, I buzzed my hair off just now. So if you look at my bio, I was pre-dental in college, and I was in grad school for neuroscience, padding the application to hopefully get into dental school, which never happened. So I was just living in crummy apartments, and I always liked just decor and cool stuff. So I thought to myself, oh, I want to make a flag. And I looked on the market just to make something for myself. And I looked at the market, and there's really only one brand that I thought looked good. And this was back in 2015. So I'm like, oh, I could do better than that. And honestly, in this day and age, there's no excuse for not starting your own business. There's zero upfront cost to start anything. Zero. So I farted out a website on my birthday. And you started with if you're starting like a homemade goods business, you fart out your Etsy first, you get some ads going, and then you start your website on the side because you don't want all your eggs in one basket. Mm-hmm. And it did not take long for people to notice. It did not take long. And then I had a marketing strategy of mostly focusing on Instagram because I felt like Facebook was already in the past. And so I
old
focused on
people out.
Instagram, and Instagram felt new enough that a lot of these celebrities and influencers that I like on their podcasts and stuff like that, they still responded to their DMs. So I'd be watching TV. I'd be watching, Miles Teller with his reconstructed face on TV, and I would just be in random DMs while I'm watching it, just like, oh, this guy's cool. This guy's cool. So like I text Theo Vaughn, and he is like, yeah, I'll take one. And then you never know how far it's going to go. Some people turn into a Theo Vaughn and they put it behind them and it's just behind them perpetually. And I just keep getting returns from that. I still get orders with Theo Vaughn's coupon code. And that was like 3 years ago now. Jesus. And then I'll send it to like Barstool HQ with the new CEO, not Dave Portnoy, but the girl who took over. And then it'll just go into a closet, and then I'll see it like on some random YouTube episode. They go into like the storage closet, and I'll see my flag propped against the wall. I'm like, oh, I guess that's where it went. All right. And then they ghost me. So you don't know what's going to happen. But what's cool about artwork is the margins are high. The value in it is not necessarily the materials. It's just how I work it. So it's a good business. It was profitable very quickly, and it's just been growing ever since. I'm super busy, and I thinking about hiring people just to lessen the burden, but I don't know how much of an entrepreneur I actually am because I don't want to delegate. I don't want to have somebody else do anything. So I'm going to have to just ease myself into it. I'm going to have somebody help me box them, but I don't want anybody else making the flags. And I know one day I'll cross that road and then I'll look back. I'm like, I can't believe I made every single one of these things. Dude, I kept using my time so much better.
I can't believe you made one.
That's where I'm at right now as I'm talking to you guys.
I can't believe I might be a Theo Vaughn and have one of these in my house.
Yeah.
No, I'll send you guys one. That'd be sick.
Fuck
I had such a good time talking to you guys.
I will say,
and you need something.
Yeah, nothing.
I will say, Ken, can you go to the section where it shows all the different flags that he has?
Yeah.
Because I will say, I'm huge into buffalo. Big buffalo dude. So if you happen to have one on standby,
so like Wyoming,
whether it's like Wyoming, I got into just the idea of buffalo after Rich Froning, guy who I kind of admired. He started his own buffalo ranch, but the story behind buffalo was really cool to me, and how like they differ from cattle, and how if you see like a group of cattle, right, and they see a storm approaching, they will run away from it. But eventually a storm will always catch you, and then you will likely have to live through it in a worse condition than if you were to have just tried to cross that path. So that's what the difference is. Buffalo will run into a storm and try to make it through it to the other side to get through shitty conditions faster.
Yeah.
Right. And it makes them a little bit stronger, worse for wear, whereas like a cow or like regular cattle will run away from it. And eventually cattle are not going to outrun nature, obviously, and neither is a buffalo, but then they don't fear that part. So that I like.
There's a lot of cool
if you've never heard that, Ken, definitely look that story up.
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
People see a cow when they look at a bison, they go to Yellowstone National Park, and then you'll see a bison just yeet some like 7-year-old girl like 7 feet, in the air.
That's a good thing to learn experience.
What made you want to put the buffalo on?
It was actually my high school quarterbacks. My high school quarterback was my graphic designer. And I was like, okay, so I want to start this patriotic, but not necessarily. I don't want my brand to be like M16s with a Punisher skull on it. I've never liked that stuff.
That's okay.
That stuff's pretty cringe, honestly. So I wanted something that to be a little bit more down the middle, more restoration hardware. So he's like, what's more American than a bison? And just the second he said, I'm like, of course. And then I was like, I don't know if you guys ever wore like Echo growing up, but I had the Echo and the Rhino. I'm like, I want a profile silhouette of an animal. And then that's how the bison branding went, and it just went in. And it's like my newsletter was called the Buffalo Express and all that stuff, like the Pony Express. So it all just kind of fell together into a pretty cohesive brand.
That's pretty dope, man.
That's pretty fucking cool.
It's funny because when I first started the Legacy flag, I made all the mistakes you can make. So when you're starting off on your business, you kind of want to do everything. You don't want to pigeonhole you from this. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like I want to just be LGCY decor, which is stylized for legacy decor. But then like later down the road, I'm like, I need to rebrand. I'm making flags. I'm not making coffee tables. I'm not making couches like I thought it would be eventually. So I'm like, just be what you just hit the niche hard. So if I would to give any advice for somebody coming out with the product, yeah, thank you. I would just hit a niche as hard as you can in specific. That'll help with your ads. That will help with just the cohesiveness of your brand. It's fun watching you load my website because I'm testing the real speed because like I go into private mode when I'm testing the speed of my website, and sometimes my reviews take a while to load, so I have that like little display.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they've been going for a bit.
Dude, that's a lot of
I wouldn't trust reviews on anybody's specific website though. The real reviews are going to be on a third-party seller like Etsy or eBay.
Yeah.
Because those reviews, while they're all my reviews, I don't have any bad reviews yet, which actually can work against you a little bit because it seems less genuine. But I could, if somebody gave me a bad review, I could not post it if I chose not to on my own website.
It just goes up there.
So it's like a lot of websites. Do you have like an app through Shopify of like a third party guy, like a mediator? So they give the review to them and then they give it to you. You have the option to not post reviews. So don't trust any reviews that's on a website.
Damn.
But some strategies do post like out of a 5-star review, they'll post a 4-star because that does give more of an authenticity to it. If you see everything where it's just 100% down the line, you start to question like how legit is this site, and are the reviews like I think like a 90-95% is a good kind of like score to have.
So you have a Marine Corps one, but you don't have an Army one.
It's just nobody's ordered one yet. Nobody's ordered one. The Army guys are cheaper. I don't know.
I will tell you. I will tell you, my dad was a Marine, so I like that. That's nice.
My best friend's a Marine. I always make fun of him for not being a Navy SEAL. So I made it fun for him.
Well, you should definitely make one that has a crayon box, a Crayola one, and then you should send that to him.
So what is that? Like eating crayons and stuff?
It's because they're dumb.
They're dumb. That's it. It's because they're stupid. They're bullets.
It's like kids eating crayons.
Yeah,
pretty much. Kind of like something a retard would do.
Yeah, they don't see a retard. But yeah, so we invade a country. It goes. You send in the shock troops with Rangers and Marines. They go first, and then they just lay waste to shit. And then you have the rest of the military coming in doing the like tactical stuff. So yeah, you got to be a little fucked up to be a Marine.
Yeah, it is real quick.
Yeah. But yeah, this thing is pretty cool. This Jolly Roger's pretty cool. That is nice.
Jolly Roger flags. I'm always excited when I get one of those. Kirkwood, the ski resort up here, I might be getting one at the ski resort soon because they do a lot of pirate flag stuff over the like experts only.
Like custom flags too?
What was that?
You custom make flags too?
Custom make them?
Yeah.
What do you? Yeah. So like a lot of these start off as custom flags, like. But what do you mean by custom? Like I
mean, like if someone sent you a design, like a digital pattern, you could just slap it on.
So like a black and white podcast type of flag. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, because you just give me a PNG file. So what I do is I hand chisel all the stuff out, but I do use the CNC to outline it first so it looks consistent. My handwriting's terrible. I used to do all this. I used to do like the fonts for certain seals and stuff by hand with dremeling tools and stuff until I finally incorporated CNC. And now my work is more consistent, but it's still unique because I still chisel it out.
Good Lord, dude.
Well, if he wants one for it's not all black and white, that's fine. But if I could get an American flag with a buffalo somewhere in the center of it, that would be fucking.
Oh, that'd be sick, yeah.
But if not,
full char with the bison in the middle, that'd be rad.
Whatever you feel like sending,
whatever you would send us, we don't care.
Yeah.
How much is it to ship one?
It depends. So like the most expensive, a small 38 by 20 would be like the Tennessee you see right there is maybe like $50 to get from here in Cali to New York. I've got it all down. I have custom made boxes, so there's no wasted dimensional weight. I have my flag sizes. I don't do custom sizes too much because I'm right at the margins for it
Yep.
jumping up in price.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't add an inch to my 59 by 32 because it goes from $60 to ship across the US for a bigger one to like 140. So I'm like, no.
Oh, fuck.
I, in fact, just ate the cost on a guy in a military base in Ireland. It was like a AOE address or whatever. I typically say, yeah, I'll ship to military bases because I could just go through USPS and they treat it like a state, but it's still more expensive. But on the big size flags, it was like $250. I'm like, I can't be eating up half the profit
Yeah,
to
no.
ship it to you. So just the smaller ones.
But
you
tell
know,
us what's up. No, go ahead.
Maybe we should end it here.
Yeah, let him go because he's back and forth with the baby. But dude, it was awesome to meet you, Nick.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to send us to let us know what we need to do for you and everything.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I'm going to chop this episode up, especially the middle part where we're talking about everything, and kind of send you pieces to put up on Instagram because that's literally the only way we grow. We pay for ads every now and then, but not like on a consistent basis. But dude, you're awesome. They're pretty cool. You're a
it was great. It was great getting to talk to you, man.
You guys got the content. I don't know how to grow a podcast, but other than have fun conversations, and then you just get cooler guys on, cooler than me, and then eventually somebody will shout you out, and then you're off to the races. So you don't know when that day's happening. You just got to make sure you're turning them out.
It's just awareness. If we have people that are aware that we exist, then we're great. If no one's aware we exist, then we're pretty fucked. So however you want to post it, I'll chop it up and send you pieces of it and make it look pretty cool, and then do what you want with it.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, nice.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. That was a fun hang.
Oh yeah.
We can always do this again. If you start putting out new products or new lines, give us a shout out. We can definitely just do an episode, talk about it, and then we'll talk about, I don't know, like some QAnon shit or some Antifa or whatever. We'll get into the fucking weeds.
Yeah, let's talk about QAnon.
All right, man.
All right, take it easy.
All right, buddy. I think I got a